We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Welcome, everyone. Part 2 of the Sports Box 2021 NFL Draft Preview, going through the second half of the first round. I am Brian Attard, along with a cast of characters who you have to obviously have seen somewhere on this network. So really happy to have everybody. Brant Meeks, our resident Redskin / whatever they want to call themselves fan. Drew Trammell, Alex Kroger for Game Winning Drive, Brian Hess, Anthony Amedio in the bottom center, and of course, your boy Tony Quigley from Baseline Jumper. Guys, we're halfway through round one. Nice long show last night, but we got through it. Any thoughts last night?
We're already off to a better start because we have a better intro. So
I try. I do what I can. Well, first and foremost, before we get into the next 16 picks in round one, obviously the breaking news of today was the trade involving Carolina and the Denver Broncos, trading Teddy Bridgewater for a 6th round pick. I know many of us have mocks where one or both of these teams is taking a quarterback. So, Hess, I'll start with you here. What do you think this does to either team's plans in the first round?
I really think that you can take Denver out of the conversation for taking the quarterback, at least with the 9th pick, because they still have Drew Lock there. Now they have Teddy Bridgewater. So unless they plan on moving Drew Lock, it would make no sense to really take a quarterback, because then what are you going to do? Leave one of these 3 guys inactive every week? That just doesn't make sense. So, listen, Denver's got more needs on the defensive side of the ball. I think you can pencil them in as maybe a Patrick Surtain pick there at 9. I know you Cowboys guys don't want to hear that, but
you know me wrong anyway.
Of course. But Carolina, listen, they have Darnold. Who knows for how long? It wouldn't shock me if they ended up taking a quarterback, but I think they're going to roll with Sam Darnold this year and maybe get a veteran backup somewhere. I don't know. I think they're much better off addressing other needs besides looking for a quarterback right now.
Alex, I see you nodding.
Yeah, I think this solidifies. If you remember, my mock for them was Parsons. I think it's either Parsons or they take Surtain. I don't think there's another option at this point for Denver now. I think those are their 2 choices. It's going to come down to, can they get another linebacker that fills their needs later on? If so, then they go Surtain. If they feel that Parsons is head and shoulders above all the other linebackers in the draft, then they take Parsons. And, I know it's a little high for a linebacker, but if he feels a great need for you, which they run a lot of their defense through their linebackers, the success of their linebackers, I never thought Carolina, once they traded for Darnold, was going to take another quarterback. It doesn't make sense to me. I think Darnold's stock is too high, even though, they admitted I'm seeing ghosts or whatever the comment was. I think if you look when he was good, he was really good. And then he fell apart because he had a terrible coach, a terrible offensive line, no offensive weapons. It's going to be different in Carolina. They're going to run the ball with CMC a lot. They still have 2 good wide receivers there. If draft holds true, what I picked, and Kyle Pitts falls to them and they take Kyle Pitts, that's yet another weapon for Darnold. I think he's set up for success. If not, they probably go offensive lineman, I think. Left tackle, or maybe you see ABT go there, Vera Tucker.
So Brant and Anthony, your picks right after each other, 19 and 20. Teams that have been projected, maybe teams that might trade up for a quarterback. Brant, I'll go to you first, and I'll go to Anthony. Does this change anything? Does this mean either that a quarterback now is not going to fall to where even Denver was going to be, and that's why they made this deal? Or does this possibly mean there's somebody who's open that is going to induce either your team or the Bears to move up for?
I think in the first 4 picks, you're going to lose 4 quarterbacks. I still think Atlanta's going to somehow find a way to dump off the 4th overall pick and move back in the draft. But everything I've seen so far is more the Redskins will want to move up, but it's not for a quarterback. That's been coming out pretty hard today. So I think if Washington looks to move up, it'll probably be for someone like Michael Parsons, who I think
you watched the show last night, didn't you?
A little bit. I got about the first hour.
We appreciate that.
But no, I don't see Washington moving up to get a quarterback in this draft. It wouldn't make sense for me, not with where we're at right now. I think they're going to roll with Fitzpatrick for a year and go from there.
Anthony, I know you love Andy Dalton. Like, I know that you love Andy Dalton, but we both agree he's not the long-term solution there. We both agree there hasn't been a long-term solution there. So, from your vantage point, does this mean anything to the Bears and their potential to get a quarterback here?
No, not really. I have it the same way. I got 4 quarterbacks going first, and this kind of threw a wrench in my draft. I had Mac Jones falling to Denver here. So right now, then it kind of eliminates that. So he's still on the board, but I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, it'll be a reach for the Bears to come up for Mac Jones. I think they should look later into the draft, maybe for Mond or Trask, maybe later, but not trading up for Mac Jones.
And I feel like when I'm at a fireside chat with you, I should be roasting marshmallows or something. I mean, this is so cozy. I mean, you just ruined the internet today with an impressive display of chest hair. You lovely listeners. Now we're sitting here with a fireside chat. I mean, this is great. I feel like I'm a Boy Scout again. Mine is the butthurt.
Dedication. I'm on vacation right now. This is dedication.
It is. No, it is.
We appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So quickly, it was brought up. I don't know if it was Drew that brought it up. Somebody brought it up. Does this mean Denver can jump Dallas for a corner?
100%. Absolutely. I mean, when this first came through, and me and Morella were talking, we're like, all right, well, this kind of sucks for the Cowboys at least, and it sucks for the Eagles too, because now if they take Horn or Surtain or whatever their choice is at 9, so at 10, Dallas probably takes the next best corner, and then Eagles now are praying that somebody gets to them that can help them. From what I'm hearing, the Eagles though, they're desperately trying to trade up, as we were discussing earlier, but at the same time, it wasn't fact, not for the 4 pick, fucking clown. Thanks, Brian, for another great addition. But then you go and you bring in the Eagles are trying to go offense again now because they're panicking. But now one of the receivers might not be there. So I mean, they're in a really tough spot. But as far as Denver screwing the Cowboys and Eagles and everything else like that, it's a high probability there. I'll be back.
Drew, your thoughts?
On which part?
Anything. Carolina, Denver, impacts on Dallas, because that's what happens. Dallas gets screwed,
I mean, it's a trade that needed to be done for Carolina's side. It's a good trade. They got rid of that cap, and they're going to get Teddy Bridgewater going to Denver. I still believe in Drew Lock. I think he still has he needs to get a chance to see what he could do for a full year with guys that's going to be with him, Cortland Sutton, and the defense that he lost practically pretty much beginning of the season with Von Miller and Chubb. So I feel it's going to be a quarterback competition over the summer and see who's going to get the number 1 spot for Denver. They're going to go CB. It's probably going to be Surtain or Horn. I don't see them going Parsons now because I think those 2 corners are a little bit better than Parsons if it was the BPA. It screws the Eagles more than anything because then the Eagles are going to have to go away from corner, and they'll probably have to go with Parsons. And, Quigley said it last night with Parsons going to the Eagles. It looks like that might be a thing that's going to happen unless they trade back or trade up, which we talked about in the group chat. They have absolutely nothing to trade for to move up. So I don't get any team wanting to buy the Eagles for anything because Ertz ain't worth the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. So it's breaking point for the Eagles what they're going to do, and it looks like Parsons is going to be the best choice for them at 12, which I don't know why anyone would have an issue with that. That's a great pick for Philly and their defense.
So
they're gonna go wide receiver though. You know they're gonna somehow.
Oh,
they're
that's
gonna go
fine
wide
with me.
receiver.
No. Even worse, they're going to take Kwity Paye. They're going to pass on Micah Parsons and take Kwity Paye, and I will slit my wrist live.
I agree.
nothing beats last year though. Nothing beats your reaction last year.
Well, I mean, now I'm just so used to the disappointment that it's like I'm just be like blah.
Yeah. So
Whatever. Same bullshit.
In our chat, it was brought up. Oh, the Eagles are trying to go to 4, and I'm like, I don't think the Eagles have anything in the city that's worth the 4 picks. So I didn't really understand where that was coming from. And also, it doesn't even make any sense because that it's a roster mostly devoid of talent that needs to be completely torn down and rebuilt. I don't think you do that by consolidating picks. I think you do that by divesting picks.
What are you going to go to 4 for? Get Justin Fields? Like, does that solve your problems?
Well, I think you have to you do that from 6 to 4, not from 12 to 4.
Right, but that's, I mean, does that solve your problems? I mean, you're gonna Tim Couch Justin Fields. You're gonna get him so many concussions or tear an ACL or it's a terrible choice. They need to be trading down. If I'm them, I'd want to be at 20. I would trade down to 20, pick up another second, maybe even a third. Or another first, future, for whatever I could get. Like, they need 10 players at least to make this roster competitive, and that's in the NFC least right now.
Yeah,
Alex, that's why they need to stay put. They need to stay put and see how this draft is going to go. Because if they have a quarterback, let's just say Trey Lance or Justin Fields, there is a team out there that will trade up to their spot to go and get a quarterback, and which would be a benefit for the Eagles. Because then they could possibly get attain more draft picks. Because
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They need to trade back no matter what. Like, see how the draft goes. If you trade at the pick before, then that's fine. But you have to move out of 12. There's a reason they moved back from 6. That was the smartest move Howie's probably made in his entire tenure of terrible mistakes. So yes, they need to move back again. They need to obtain more draft capital. Because they're doing a full rebuild. Yeah, I mean that's plain and simple. If you're a realistic Eagles fan, you know you're in full build mode. You're not. I mean, I listened to your brother and Daniel tell me how they might be competitive next year, which I thought was hilarious when I watched their show. But anyways, I mean, I digress. Watched it? Yeah, I went after we were done, and I mean, hey, listen, I haven't seen.
No offense to Hess. Were you bored?
I haven't seen Austin on in a while, so I wanted to see what Austin was doing.
You want to break his balls, probably.
Yeah, exactly. I went there to break his balls, and I just felt bad for him. As a long-suffering Browns fan, now the Eagles can feel my pain. They're going to be terrible for probably a decade at least. I mean, if Howie has his way, they'll be terrible for their further future.
I'm done talking about the Eagles.
Stan Jones watching on the YouTube channel, which is great because we never get any play on YouTube. We really appreciate that. Thinks the Redskins will be interesting. Most likely to move up for a quarterback. Brant, I'll give that one right to you.
Like I said, I don't see us moving up for a quarterback. I don't think it makes sense this year. If we move up, it'll be for one of the top wide receivers or a linebacker. I don't see us going up for quarterback, though.
You think you're going to go after bringing in Samuels, having Terry McLaurin, you're going to go for a wide receiver?
Yeah, because, I mean, you look at Samuel as an absolute Swiss Army knife. You put him in the backfield with Gibson. You can put him in the slot. I mean, he's a little undersized. They're, 5'11", 6 foot, 220. Yeah. I mean, so he could fit in the slot, and then you go down and, get – I like Devontae Smith. I like Waddle. I like Jamar. I mean –
I think you can get Devontae Smith at the position you're at right now. I don't think you need to trade up for him.
I don't.
No, absolutely not. No, that dude. He's a gamer, man. Like, I know people are worried about his weight, but
that's great.
Not at all. He's a gamer. I mean, he's someone that he's a slippery dude
that played on an NFL team with NFL talent everywhere. And
but he would take a slant and make the entire defense miss and score a touchdown. It's not like he's a quarterback throwing that slant who's now getting first round projections, with a second, third round grade.
Oh, I see what you're doing there.
Hey, listen, if you listen to all these idiots on TV, if you watch any of that, he's got the best tape.
What do you mean? We got some in the group message. What do you mean?
I mean, I hope he's got the best tape. He's playing with all NFL talent there. I mean, he
Really?
better have the best tape.
Well, we'll get started. The first team in the second half here is the Las Vegas Raiders, 8-8 last year. They do have needs. Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, 2 picks they made last year. Thank you for Ruggs, allowed CeeDee Lamb to fall to the Cowboys. They've traded off 60% of their offensive line starters from last year. So the question then becomes, yeah, you have needs on defense, and your offensive line was pretty good last year. So I'm not really sure, what the deal was as far as breaking it up. It's not like it was the Beatles or anything, but now they're not there anymore. Drew, I see you shaking your head. They're a team in your division, so I'm sure you probably enjoy them, self-destructing here. But yeah, they have needs defense for sure. But if there's talent there in the offensive line, I think they kind of made their bet here with that pick. No,
they did. I mean, I don't get all the trades. I don't get it at all. Maybe they're going to offensive line. I don't know what the Raiders are doing. It's John Gruden, guys. It's John Gruden. Who knows? And Mike Mayock. Who knows what they're doing? I mean, we talked about it last night with the Khalil Mack trade. Brian, you said it last night. There's practically no winner in that trade, according to your opinion. Bears won it because they made the playoffs at least. I mean, the Raiders haven't even made the playoffs. They came close, but then they just fall apart in the second half as always. The people want to blame Derek Carr. They want to blame Gruden. They want to blame the blame calling. They want to blame the defense. I mean, Brian, I honestly don't know where they're going to go at. I got them going offensive line. I think they'll go with an offensive tackle. But as far as who it is, I don't know. I think it might be Darisaw. It might be one of those cats that might fall in there. But knowing John Gruden, he might go with Cody Payne.
Yeah.
Go with the edge rusher.
That's Drew. I'm glad you mentioned that's who I have them. I mean, if they don't go with somebody, Derek Shaw and AVT already gone, as we talked last night. But with the Raiders here, Tevin Jenkins maybe as far as like the next best O lineman. I don't know if he's a first round pick, but with a guy like Justin Herbert and a guy like Patrick Mahomes, if you're not attacking the quarterback, you're in trouble. And I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm not a huge Kwity Paye fan. He's a great kid, great story, that kind of stuff. Paye, Jalen Phillips, one of them guys. I see them going defensive end, try to get to the pass rusher.
I got him going Greg Newsome. Honestly, legit. That feels like a Gruden pick to me, 100%.
Cass, I think you were here last year or 2 years ago when we did the draft, and Cleve Farrell went 4th overall, and that was kind of one of those things where maybe they just don't have a goddamn clue what they're doing.
Mike Mayock is losing all credibility in the recruiting community after being a guy on NFL. Like what?
Well, I mean, we're all sitting up here talking shit, but these guys get fed information. They're pretty much just relaying. They're fed. That's why, like, when you see certain these guys that are like they actually work for the NFL Network, which is the NFL, and all of a sudden they have the breaking news. They're getting fed this stuff, and they're just the mouthpieces to put it out. Now Mayock has to think for himself and has to go and do something, and it's a little bit more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Farrell was a guy looking at him coming out. He was a high motor guy, but he wasn't someone that's going to come in. He's not a 4th overall pick. You want to get him in the end of the first round, sure, but he's not a guy that's going to be a dominant force.
He hasn't turned out bad, but it's just he wasn't valued at 4.
No, yeah, it was a huge reach.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at like I said,
too.
Cleve Farrell at 4, and then they take Ruggs last year instead of Judy or Lamb, which was a head scratcher.
Jefferson.
So yeah, they're Jefferson. I mean, who knows where they're even going to go.
It's like
honestly,
Al Davis.
You don't know. You can't predict what they're going to do.
That's what I said, Greg Newsome. That makes perfect sense. A guy that's not a first-round corner that's going to go in the first round. It feels like a John Gruden pick.
I mean, even Damon Arnett was a pick out of the blue.
Yeah,
he was a second-round grade. They ended up taking him with their first-round pick. They're off the charts, man. They're out there with these picks. So
Gruden
I got them taking AVT. I got AVT falling to him at 17, but who the hell knows? He'll probably be gone by then. But
Anthony, you read?
Yeah, the Raiders are a mess. And as far as the Bears trade, I mean, the Bears won the trade when the Raiders took Josh Jacobs. Once you take a running back, I mean, that's a win for the Bears for me right there. But, yeah, I got Darisaw falling here to the Raiders, and they pretty much got to take him if he's there. So I feel that's a need for them. They got to get that offensive line straightened out. So I have him falling to the Raiders, and I think it's pretty much a no-brainer. They have to take him.
Wow.
I actually have Micah Parsons falling in mine, and I think he just kind of falls here, and they're like, okay, it's a need,
No, they'd overthink it. They'd pick, Zaven Collins or Jamin Davis over Parsons. There's no way they get it right. Like whatever they're doing is going to be the wrong choice.
Well, I mean that is the Eagles playbook. So if you want to copy that, I mean it's fine. It's like I said last night. All I know about the Eagles pick is going to be a mistake. Is all that I know. All that I know is going to be. Cass, do you agree with that statement before I move on?
My man RJ.
Basically.
Ron Dorsey, leave my Raiders alone. Listen, I think if O-line falls, like I think Tevin Jenkins is a possibility here too. Like I think if O-line falls, they kind of have they're pigeonholed themselves into doing it because you've deconstructed your offensive line for I don't understand why. So you got to protect your quarterback, whether it's Mariota or Carr or somebody else. I don't even know, but you have to protect there. And no matter who's running the ball, whether it's Jacobs or Kenny and Drake, you need to create some space. So, yeah, I mean, they're in a weird spot right now, to say the least. Miami's up at 18. It's their second pick of the first round. Again, they had 3 picks in the first round last year. They're going to have more picks next year. They are just 3D chess with the way they're moving draft picks around. I guess we have some differing opinions as to what they do at 6. But does this pick is this impacted by what they do at 6? Like if they don't go Sewell, do they look at offensive line here? If they go with a Jamar Chase, is this again? I mean, I'll start here with Quig. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, they're not going to do what they do at 6, but I think that may change how they go here because if they get their exact target at 6, they may be able to take some risks with this pick. And this is probably the first or highest pick we've seen mocks where a running back goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely not taking a running back here if I'm the Miami Dolphins. I mean, there's plenty of value in this draft later on, as most drafts with the running back position. In my mock, and what I expect them to do is take Penei Sewell at 6, and I have them taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. Kind of do everything linebacker. He could kind of fill in that loss of Kyle Van Noy and that defense, which was pretty phenomenal last year, just gets younger and better. And that's what they're going to lean on. And I think they have to go there. Expect them maybe to, target a receiver in the second or third round, which there'll still be plenty of. So I like them to go with a defensive pass rusher and linebacker that can kind of do it all.
Yeah, I have them going AVT here. Honestly, I think, so I think I had him picking. I have him taking Rashawn Slater.
Yep.
With the 6th. I feel like they're 2 pieces away on their offensive line, and they got to protect Tua at all costs. AVT, like Quiggs brought up yesterday, is very versatile. He can play pretty much all 4 outside positions, guards and tackles both. So I feel like he solves their right tackle problem. Slater solves their left tackle problem. And then Tua is in a much safer space, and you're not worried about him going down with another, career-threatening injury.
Sure.
For me, man, I have Jamar Chase being their first pick at 6. And then for me, I'm opposite of Tony. Tony had Pay going with the Raiders. I got Quiddy going with the Dolphins. I think they'll go with the edge rusher, someone that has a good story outside and could be developmental to be three technique type of rusher that I looked more tape on last night. I like his tape a lot. So I really think that Miami might go and get him for defensive end.
Yes.
Yeah, I think between the 6 and the 18, they should come away with a wide receiver or a pass catcher if Pitt somehow falls to 6. So if they go O-line with the 6th pick, then maybe they grab a Rashad Bateman who's in that next tier of wide receivers and kind of start that up with the 18th pick. They need playmakers. Listen, this is a team still on the rise. The defense is solid, made big strides last year. I think they need to start surrounding Tua with weapons and see what this kid can do. Listen, he struggled last year. No lie there. I mean, you had Ryan Fitzpatrick come into relief a bunch of games there. They missed the playoffs, but listen, you got to surround Tua with weapons if you're going to move far with Tua as your quarterback. So as long as they come that way with a wide receiver, pass catcher, with one of these 2 first-round picks, they'll be all right.
I think most of the people are thinking that as well too. But when you got guys like Tutu Atwell and maybe Rondell Moore or something like that available in the second round, because they do have picks and everything, I think that would be right there would be a value if Tucker was there. I mean, I think they have to look at best player available to a certain extent that fits a need.
Yeah, look, I mean, and they have 2 4s. I mean, they're sitting there with the 4th pick in the second round. So they are in a great spot where some of these receivers that might fall, depending what these teams do, obviously, at the end of the first round. And we've seen guys that go at that area last year. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr. went around there last year. So it's not as if talent doesn't fall.
I mean, the list goes on and on about value that you could find.
Yeah, I mean, you found McLaurin and DK Metcalf in the 3rd round a couple of years ago. I actually don't have Miami doing wide receiver at all in the 1st round. The 6th overall pick, I actually had him taking Sewell, and then with the 18th pick, I had him taking Jalen Phillips. I think a good pass rusher worked for me. Bringing in Will Fuller this offseason, I didn't see wide receiver as a super big need. Like, of course, you want to give him as many options as he can get, but it's not something where I'm like, man, I've got to get this.
I mean, if you look, you still have Preston Williams, the unicorn who had a tough year with injuries last year. Devontae Parker is a ball. I mean, he's a borderline 1. I mean, he's a solid 2, borderline 1. And if you throw Will Fuller, for the 4 games he's not injured playing, I mean, he's gonna look good. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think. And Gesicki, like we said yesterday, he's a beast. So I mean, I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm thinking. Brand too is defense was their strength last year. It carried them. If they could replace Van Noy with one of the, I mean, we mentioned Phillips, we mentioned Pay, and we mentioned Owasu, whatever the hell Notre Dame kid name is.
Owasu Koramoah.
I mean, if you add one of those 3 guys in, any of them really, I mean, I think that helps them immediately, and that defense doesn't skip a beat.
Agree.
Anthony?
Yeah, I think this draft sets up really nice for the Dolphins, man. I mean, I got Pitts falling to the Dolphins. Him, Gesicki, Devontae Parker, Preston Williams, and being their offense, I mean, it's going to be there for Tua. And falling to 18, I agree with Meeks. I got my boy Jalen Phillips from the U, man. Guy's a stud. He could be a really good football player, and I think Miami's a perfect spot for him.
Yeah, I have Jalen Phillips as well at the spot. And again, I mean, they can't go offense. They do need to keep that defense going as well. They need a wide receiver eventually. I wouldn't necessarily square peg round hole it at 18 if I don't like anybody specifically there. I mean, look, if somebody like Devontae Smith were to fall, I mean, you readjust. But there isn't really anybody there in my eyes that makes me want to go take him at 18. And that could, because you're picking again at 36. I mean, you have a spot that you can do something with. It's not this massive need. It has to be filled at 18 because the pass rushers won't be there at 18. It's a weak pass rush draft to begin with. So, it's cream to the top. And if somebody like that is there for you, I think that it makes a lot of sense for them to go that direction. And when you talk about teams with good defense, clearly Washington comes up. So they were 7-9 last year, which is good enough to win a division. God bless them.
You don't have to be great. You just got to be good enough.
That's right. Chase Young was their pick last year, 2nd overall. 4 of their last 5 first rounds have been on the defensive line. They did add Ryan Fitzpatrick and Curtis Samuel in free agency. So clearly, Brant, I'm going to go to you here. The way the draft kind of falls, I don't know how much – similarly to Miami, is I don't know how much really good offensive talent you're necessarily going to find at 19, but also I don't necessarily think it's a massive need because they did address some of that in free agency. Clearly, they're not going to go defensive line. That I'm pretty comfortable saying they've pretty much exhausted that resource. But, again, you talk about, the front 4 is great. Could use some linebacker help depending who falls. I personally had them taking Owasu Koramoah at 19 only because Parsons went 17. I know there's some talk of them possibly moving up and potentially not for a quarterback, which is really interesting to see where that plays out. But assuming they stay at 19, Are they going to force feed an offensive weapon here, or can they just continue to build what is a really up and coming dominant defense?
I think they're going to go defense for sure. Linebackers specifically. I actually, in my mock, I have Parsons falling, and that's just not a homer pick. That was looking at a bunch of the mocks out there. A lot of people have Parsons falling even further than that due to the off-field concerns. But I mean, he ran a sub 4.40. If it's not him, then you're probably looking at Jamin Davis, who ran a 4.3 4.40 at 240 pounds. Like, that's insanity. Or Zaven Collins is the third choice there. But looking at sideline to sideline linebacker, I mean, right now our linebackers are Cole Holcomb and John Bostic. We're missing one with the retirement of Thomas Davis and letting Kevin Pierre-Louis go away. We brought in William Jackson in free agency, so that covers up one of the cornerback spots. We have Kendall Fuller in the other spot and Fabian Moreau in the slot, and Jimmy Moreland in the slot. And safety, you're sort of stuck with Landon Collins and that massive contract that he's got. And then you have one of the best rookie safeties last year to come out was Cameron Curl, who we got in the 6th round. So looking at that, we just brought in Eric Flowers. So I would have thought that O-line would have been something that we would have adjusted for. But bringing in Flowers yesterday, I definitely see the middle of the defense being the most pressing need and what will happen in 19, or if they're able to move up to get up.
Anthony, this is the pick right before the Bears. So what do you hope they don't take?
Well, I don't. As far as my draft goes, I think the Bears are pretty safe here. I mean, I got the Redskins taking Zane Collins. I got them solidifying their front seven even more than it is already. I mean, besides quarterback, I mean, they're pretty set on offense. I really like Washington's offensive weapons, and I think they're going to go with Zane Collins, a short tackler in the middle, to to solidify that front seven because it's already good. I don't see them taking a wide receiver. That's for sure.
It's a divisional rival. Probably, I think most would say a top 2 team in the division right now, mainly because of their defense. Your read on them?
I mean, the experts kind of are talking about them moving up for being one of those teams that could trade up for a quarterback, but I don't really see it. I mean, gave Taylor Heineke another year. You brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think you're good enough, especially on the defensive side of the ball and the rest of your offense, and you're good on quarterback there. I think Brant hit it on the head. Defensive line's good. Secondary is good. Linebacker, you need another linebacker. So Parsons falls, easy pick. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Zaven Collins. I mean, yeah, this is where those linebackers start to really go off the board in most mocks. So makes sense to me that linebacker would be the way to go.
True.
Oh, I concur with everybody saying it's definitely linebacker. I don't see WFT moving up. I think Ron Rivera is pretty happy with what he's got for this year with Flitz and Heineke, who are both better quarterbacks than what the Eagles have. So with that being said, I got to go with JOK at linebacker. I got him falling into the WFT. I hate messing with S.
It's true. I mean, what am I gonna say? It's true.
But I got JOK, man. I got JOK going here on Washington team. I think we all are in agreement here. It's linebacker. Brant eloquently just said it, what his defense needs. And I'm pretty sure Brant will be okay with any type of linebacker that's sideline to sideline that could be a coverage guy that can make plays. And, it's a one gap stopper. And I think JOK could fit that need for Ron Rivera's defense.
Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I got Ron Rivera calling the second that freaking Miami makes the pick with JOK. I think this is a guy that's probably a top 10 talent that's fallen to them at 19. And if you watch his film, Notre Dame players historically are overrated. I think this kid's a can't miss guy. I really like his speed. I like his sideline to sideline vision. He doesn't miss tackles. He's a sure tackler. I mean, he doesn't have any of the off-field antics either, right? There's no Parsons question marks about, character and, issues off-field. I think he's a no doubt pick. Like, he's there for them, I think Ron Rivera's doing backflips, right? I think he's ecstatic.
He doesn't have a fake girlfriend?
He doesn't have a fake girlfriend. There's no Notre Dame no hangover for getting catfished.
This is the part of the mock that since we're not doing trades, I think this is really what I honestly think Parsons winds up in Washington some way, shape, or form with Rivera. Like I said last night on the show when we were talking about Parsons, I had Parsons taking the Eagles, being taken by the Eagles at 12, but I think this is where Rivera gets his Luke Kuechly kind of player to kind of complement him. But in my mock though, that's not we're not doing trades and everything. That's not how it works. I have them going with Rashad Bateman to give him a bigger receiver, complements McLaren and Samuel well, and I think that just kind of solidifies their offensive weapons. There's no tight. They need a tight end, sort of, kind of, but it's nobody here in the current season to consider. So I think Bateman would be a nice compliment, depending on how this draft goes, besides Philadelphia, the NFC East offenses are going to be pretty scary.
I mean, I'll tell you quick, if they did go Bateman, and that trio of receivers would be nice for Fitzpatrick, and especially for the running game. That you could do a lot with that offense. A lot of gadget players, a lot of innovative play calling. I mean, I think Fitzpatrick would be salivating at the mouth knowing that he had all that for his arsenal.
Yeah, I think Bateman is being undervalued because he played at Minnesota. I mean, I think he's the Justin Jefferson of this class. I really do. You watch his film, he's got ridiculous hands. I like his speed. I like his moves off the line. He's got very active hands breaking away from cornerbacks. I like him a lot. I think he's going to do very well.
It was interesting how they were talking about how he's slow, and then he goes out and runs a 4.3 40.
4.3.
They're still saying it.
Like so talking about Jock, right? Like Jeremiah Owusu Koromora. My only issue with him is the size. Like 6'1", 215, 220. Like 6'1" as a linebacker is a little small. So
unless you're playing in the middle, that's the only. That's got to be a middle guy.
Well, if you're looking at it like this, though, I mean, he's kind of fits a little bit more of the mold of Isaiah Simmons, and kind of like he's that hybrid safety, plays everywhere, could kind of do a little bit of linebacker and stuff like that. And nowadays, if linebackers can't coverage and can't keep up with some of these smaller backs and slot receivers, then they're really in trouble. I mean, if you look at what Dev White was able to do in the Super Bowl,
exactly.
You need that kind of guy. The run stuffing linebacker is a thing in the past.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, you guys had London Fletcher for how long? I mean, he was small.
I love him.
He was undersized.
He was, but he wasn't 6. I mean, he was like 5'11", 230. But like he was a stockier guy that would lay the wood.
Well, right, but I mean, you're talking about height, though,
But you're talking about Isaiah Simmons is 6'4", 240. Jock is smaller than most running backs in the league, if we're being completely honest, right? Like 6'1", 220 is not someone that I would see necessarily as roaming the field. I see him more as like that hybrid player, like going to safety, go out to the nickel. But yeah.
But what Quick said is right on the money. This defense, this game is changing, Brian. This game is changing every year, and we saw what Tampa did. It was brilliant what they did. They took the slot, they took the outside, they took the running back to completely take him out of the game. Patrick Mahomes, they had no hot zone because they had coverage linebackers. That's what's going to happen. This is what this game is going to change because it's becoming so more of a heavy passing offense that you need these linebackers to cover. It's just plain and simple.
Bye, Hess.
Sure, it's probably just technical difficulties, but he'll be back.
Well, he's got a headphone on. It looks like he's doing friggin' customer service for.
Maybe he is. Maybe he has to take a call. What do you know?
Hey, I mean, looked like he was watching TV too.
He's watching those Asian game shows.
Yeah.
Watching them girls eat live eels and stuff like that. We know how he gets down. Don't Google that, by the way. Because they're going in the girls, but it's not in their mouth.
The Bears.
Hey.
The Bears are up at 20. No first-round pick last year as part of the Khalil Mack deal. They have not made a first-round pick since 2018. That was Roquan Smith. They've gone back and forth offense and defense the last 7 ones that they have made. So, obviously, Anthony, I'm starting with you. Now, they're not likely to go quarterback here because I just don't think anyone's going to fall to them. I think that they would think about it, and I think if somebody were to fall, they would think about moving up, but I don't necessarily know that they're going to do that. I think that they were pretty much obliterated in the media for taking 2 3s and a 4 to go up one spot to take Mitch Trubisky over the guys they did. I'm not going to rehash old stuff, but they don't necessarily little PTSD of moving up. They don't want to get necessarily criticized. So they have obvious needs at wide receiver and at cornerback. Wide receiver because they don't feel like paying the one that they got for reasons I don't seem to understand. And at corner, they just lost Kyle Fuller as a cap casualty to Denver. So where are you on the Bears?
Well, the guy I want, I don't believe is going to be there. I originally wanted to get Farley to replace for cornerback, and I don't think he's going to be there. I think he's going to fall to the Cardinals. So I think he's going to go there. And my next pick is Bateman. I got the Bears taking Bateman, man. I really think he's a good player. I agree with the guys on the panel, and he's a big target, and I think he'll fit right in there. And I think that they need.
That one. What was Alex?
Jesus?
That wasn't me.
That was Andy Dalton coming through. And
Yeah. So listen,
Was it Andy Dalton?
I got Devontae Smith falling to here. I think I really do. I think he's going to fall here. I think people are going to go against what you think they're going to go. Like I said, I have 2 tackles going to Miami. Nobody's going to pick that, right? So I just think that NFL teams, you're not hearing a lot of hype about Devontae Smith. I'm sorry, but you're not. I mean, everybody I hear talking about him thinks that he's kind of a product of his system. Yes, he's talented. I'm not arguing about the kid being talented. But translating to the NFL at that size, I just don't know if he does. My concern would be I'm going to attach him as my first-round pick early before now, and he's going to get hurt in the second week of the season, and then what have I done, right? So I think here he's a safe pick. You can take him at 20. Clearly, the Bears need a wide receiver. I think he fills a very good need for them. And I think you'd probably be ecstatic, right, Anthony? If Smith fell to you guys here, you'd probably be happy as shit, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony don't give a shit.
He has Andy Dalton thrown to him. I mean, how can he be too happy about it? But
Exactly. That's why he said it.
Yeah, you're right.
Listen, I'm on the wide receiver train here, but I got Rashad Bateman going to pick ahead, so I went with Elijah Moore, who's maybe Devontae Smith Jr. I think he just complements Allen Robinson a little bit better. He gives them that true burner where Allen Robinson can kind of do everything else. If they could utilize more in his 4.32 40 time. He's undersized, but you know what? That's kind of the theme of this year's wide receivers. I think the second tallest wide receiver that's projected in the first round is actually Devontae Smith, who we're all talking about is small. And you got Bateman at 6'2" and Smith at 6 foot, and Elijah Moore is on the smaller side, but he has a decent frame, and I think he gives the Bears the burner that they really lacked for quite some time.
Yeah, Tony, I really like Elijah Moore. The only reason I didn't go with him actually, or Tony from Florida, is because they drafted someone last year in Mooney, very similar player, and he had success. So that was a successful pick to me. So I that's why I leaned more Bateman with size and his big hands and his ability. But yeah, the only reason I didn't go with those guys is because Mooney was picked last year, and he's a very similar player.
For me, man, I'm with Ant. What Ant just said, Rashad Bateman seems like the better fit for Allen Robinson. Be the tandem for what they need for the Bears. I like his size. I like his speed. We just talked about him. I don't need to go more and more on it. But at the end of the day, man, it's Andy Dalton throwing the ball. So hopefully they can utilize the best they can with the talents that they have around him. Maybe Matt Nagy can pull something out of his ass, and maybe the Bears can be something this year. It's hard to take. I just saw a tweet from Jason Lockenford. I can't say his last name. How do you say his last name?
Lockenford.
Yeah, there. He said, like Tony said last night, man. It's the week of lies. But he just reported that between the Patriots and the Bears, he expects one of these teams to jump up to get a quarterback. I just don't see it happening with the Bears. I think the Bears are going to stay put at 20. I think they'll go with a receiver, which it's not a bad pick, Ant. You can't be mad about it. It's just unfortunate with the quarterback that you have.
I mean,
I like Tevin Jenkins here because I was going to say, I didn't interrupt you, but I like offensive line for them because I don't care who the quarterback is, you have to protect them, and they need to protect Andy Dalton. I mean, no matter what, you have to continue continuity with that line, regardless of who's behind it. And if you intend at some point to bring a rookie in, you don't want to bring him in behind absolutely nothing. And I think that where they end up here, I mean, you need tackles, you need guards. I mean, you need them, and I don't know that there's a ton of depth there. I'd rather go with quality. And to me, the best guy left that I have is Tevin Jenkins at this spot. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the direction that they go. And you never get hurt taking offensive line early. I mean, usually these guys pan out, unless Isaiah Wilson, which we'll talk about soon. But I just think that this is a really, really, good spot for them. And he can, start a tackle right immediately.
For me, when I'm looking at the Bears, right, like their quarterback is Andy Dalton, so their offense is going to be garbage anyways, right? So you might as well try to build a good defense to try to supplement that garbage offense. So for me, I actually have them going cornerback.
Been doing that for 20 years.
I was going to say they've had a garbage quarterback as long as I can remember.
Exactly, it's almost worked a few times, right? They're double doink away from having a real good shot, so they're tried and true. But no, I have them going with Caleb Farley here. I think there's a slight chance that J.C. Horn could actually drop down this far.
Really?
Like looking at the outline, I know I think for me, Farley's a top 10 talent. I think there's a small shot Farley. he could jump ahead of Horn, and it would be Surtain, then Farley, then Horn. But I would say cornerback here because your offense isn't going to be good. It's just not with Andy Dalton at least, right? The best you could hope for is
Nick Foles.
is in the second or third round getting Kellen Mond, David Mills, someone like that they're going to try to groom.
It's the same.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, bud.
Brian, no.
At least,
not you. It's the Bears spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is that's all that they're doing. It's just
bingo.
A turnstile.
I mean, Grant mentioned Kellen Mond, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears shock people and just go with Kellen Mond here. His stack has been really rising.
Yeah.
I think there might be a team that kind of comes. I think there might be a team that comes into the later first round and picks them, or if it's just the Bears stay put and picks them. I think that might be one of the shocking picks that we see.
It's just this is
desperation mode. Why not?
This is the turnstile. They had a quarterback.
But why not? It's desperation mode. You need a quarterback in there that you could mold up and play good. Why not? Why not make that move?
I don't think the coach is going to be there next year. I think they're going to get rid of him after this year. And you don't draft a rookie the year before you cut a coach. So you're going to
top rookie.
That's what they do with Haskins, right? Like everybody knew Jake Gruden was gone. Everybody, he was terrible. He's a bad person. He's a bad coach. He's just not good. And then they draft Haskins in the first round. Next year, he gets a new coach. Like, it's a disaster cycle.
I see a guy with a Redskins hat on. I try not to bring up Haskins and bring him up for us.
Right.
I'm trying to be nice tonight.
Watch Haskins is going to be successful.
We still got Montez Sweat in the first round of that year.
No.
In that year, we also got Montez Sweat. So I'm fine.
Honestly, listen, the best thing is the best thing Washington did that year was they conned the Giants into taking Danny Dimes at 6 and not later.
Right.
Because I made them think they were going to take him later. So we'll take him at 6. Thank you.
Leave him alone. Leave Daniel alone.
It would be interesting to see what the Bears do. Listen, if they take like a second, third round quarterback in the first round, that people will just lose their mind. They will. Anthony might not make it back. From where are you on vacation again? South Carolina?
I mean, but
you want to come back?
It'll be an absolute disaster if that happened.
There'll be a
accident. besides his small hands, I mean, he's got pretty good tape. I mean, he's 6'3", he's not 6'5", but I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible pick if you're in quarterback purgatory.
David Mills.
Because if he doesn't work out, right? If he doesn't work out, what are the Bears going to be? 2-15, right? They're probably top 3 pick, and they'll get one of the top 3 quarterbacks next year. Which everybody's saying it's a down year for quarterbacks, but there's some good quarterbacks coming out next year as well.
Think about what happened today. I mean, the Bears could have had Teddy Bridgewater for a 6th-round draft pick. I believe they have 4 6th-round draft picks.
I mean, would you even be upset if they'd have traded a 5th-round draft pick for Teddy? You'd have been happy.
No, like I said when I went on before, when we came on the show earlier, they jumped so fast. It was just such a knee-jerk reaction to go get Dalton because they didn't think they were going to get anybody. Right. They didn't wait. All they had to do was wait. And look, you could have had Teddy Bridgewater for a 6th-round pick, probably cheaper, and you could have moved on. I would have been happier with Bridgewater more than Dalton. It's just. I mean,
I think anybody would be happy.
Would you be happy if they made a move for Garoppolo?
You had to be patient. They had no patience.
That's true.
Good call. Yeah, I mean, would you be happy with a trade for Garoppolo, like Tony said? Would you be happy?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean,
if they give up 2 first-round picks and a 2nd or a 3rd for Garoppolo, you're going to be happy?
Stupid.
Right, but I'm just saying,
that's preposterous. That would never happen.
I mean, we're talking about the Bears. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you could have had.
That's what I was preaching earlier. Is that it was such a knee-jerk reaction. They panicked. It was total panic mode, and they fucked it all up.
The whole city of Chicago is panicking because you're getting shot every fucking day.
Chirac.
Oh man.
On to 21. Indianapolis Colts, 11-5 a year ago. No first-round pick. They traded it for DeForest Buckner. They had not made a first-round pick since 2018, but they did really well with that one, taking Quentin Nelson after the Jets in a trade. They did acquire Carson Wentz in the offseason. I think Hess is going to be back. Hopefully he's back before the end of the segment here. But quickly, I'm going to start with you on this one. I'm a Carson Wentz apologist. I wear that badge proudly. I'm very happy I can root for him now. My T-shirt has been ordered. It hasn't shipped yet because Fanatics stinks. But it is what it is.
Whoa. Show some respect to Michael Rubin. Come on now.
My question for you is this. I think he landed in an absolute perfect spot, a great supporting cast, one he definitely didn't have in Philadelphia. And I think they're the 3rd best team in the AFC. So given that, A, am I out of my mind? But B, where do you think they then go in this draft? Do they give him more weapons or try to protect him more?
Brand doesn't think they are.
What's that?
I don't think it's the 3rd best team in the AFC. I think you're out of your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this has just been a sad thing for the last couple of years with Brian Attard and his affection for Carson Wentz. I mean, it's been like a tragedy. I mean, it's been like the Titanic too. He's holding on to Carson, and I think it's not about Carson Wentz more as he wanted the Cowboys and Dak Prescott to be worse than Carson Wentz because he hates Dak that much that he's actually pushing up Carson Wentz. And at times it looked like Carson Wentz was the better player for half a season. But you have to. There's regression. I mean, the Carson Wentz saga in Philadelphia was pathetic, and most of it was on Carson Wentz himself. So, with that being said, Bri, you need some help. Now he's in Indy. Now he has an opportunity to kind of reclaim his thing. He's in a much better organization than Philly. I mean, I think the Philly organization from top to bottom has some huge question marks on it. And Indy is a great spot for him, and he's going to land there. I mean, they got T.Y., they got Michael Pittman, they got our boy from South Jersey, Johnny Taylor, running the ball. I mean, offensively, they look pretty solid. So I went defense here. I went with Jason Owo from the defensive end from Penn State. If Jalen Phillips is there, he's also a nice possibility. But I think he comes in there and he helps that pass rush a little bit and he gets after. And I think Carson Wentz, if he can't be successful with Quentin Nelson blocking for him, maybe you could start hiring him at TD or something, bro.
All I've said is that usually if the supporting cast is good and the results aren't, it's the quarterback. If the supporting cast sucks and the results aren't good, it might not be the quarterback. And I think the supporting cast is pretty bad in Philadelphia. So I think
you can't ignore the factual stories, and even his mechanics went south on him. I mean, and Brian, I know you don't look at those kind of things, but I mean, footwork, timing, everything was off. I mean, it was just off. I mean, you're talking about when you look at like his sack rate and how long he's held on to the ball and stuff like that, he just dropped back and he didn't know what to do with it. And it wasn't because people were open. It was because and then he would make the wrong decision.
Right.
I mean, there is a good reason why Jalen Hurts, who I don't think anybody here would say that he was a top talent compared to Carson Wentz. But when Jalen Hurts went in there, the entire team played better. Offense played better. Offense looked good. And Jalen Hurts really didn't play that well, but the offense was a lot better.
Yeah, so, Hurts played terrible. He just was on time.
Yeah.
For me, Carson Wentz, his CP and QBR were regressed as well. So we have to also look into that. But that's another story from the day. For me, I went with the Z's defensive end for the Colts. I think it's a pass rush that they need. It's another. And I'm with Tony. If Jalen Phillips is there, those three guys, I think they'll make that decision what fits best for this defense. But they need to solidify that defense. They got a monster over in Tennessee that they have to deal with Derrick Henry, so that's going to help them out a little bit. They got the Jaguars who are on the rise, but they still have the best team in one of the best teams in the NFC and the AFC. And I like the Colts a lot this year. I think Carson Wentz will play a similar type of game as Rivers did last year. And but I think he's a lot more versatile because he can extend the play, he can move around the pocket, and he has more of an arm because we saw last year Rivers couldn't throw 40 yards. So I think Carson Wentz can be able to do that. But overall, I got Aziz going and fit in this defense and with the Leonards of the world. So,
Brent, you were shaking your head when I was praising Carson.
Don't get me wrong. I like Carson Wentz. I like them in the Eagles, but it's like Quig said, his fundamentals fell. Like you had people posting clips week after week after week of him hitting the wrong targets, making the wrong choice. Well, I mean, Alex talks about Darnold seeing ghosts. I mean, that's exactly what it seemed like for Wentz. I like him as a quarterback. I think there's a real good chance that he can bounce back. But I don't see them. I could see them and the Jaguars being neck and neck next year based on quarterback play. Damn, I made him throw up there.
I want to cough right in the mic,
That's pretty bold to say, Brad, because I think the culture probably – listen, if Andrew Luck was still on the Colts, I'm pretty sure that Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes might not be Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes because it might be Luck bringing his team to a couple Super Bowls with already a win. So, I mean, if they fall that far, I mean – Brian, you need a public apology to your love for Carson Wentz. If he drags the Colts down, as Brant said, that's bad.
No, listen. All I've ever said was I want to see him on a team with good surroundings. Now, if he goes to Indy and is terrible, then you can absolutely make that case at that point. There's no excuses anymore. But it was a bad group in Philly. I'm going to hand it over to Hess in just a second here, and I think that they've been a quarterback away. I mean, that's probably been one of the best teams, best rosters. Sans quarterback since Luck decided to hang him up out of nowhere in the league. And they've been pretty good with average to bad quarterback play. So, it's hard for me to say they're not going to get better.
Rivers.
Drew,
come on.
I said average to bad.
Wait. Rivers had one of his best postseason games last year in the playoffs against the Buffalo Bills. That defense didn't stop Buffalo.
They should have won that game.
And the head coach made a lot of bad decisions.
I think it was Brand who looked at me like I had 6 heads. They're the third best team in the AFC. I think they're right behind the Chiefs and the Bills. I think they're right there.
You think they're above the Ravens?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
To me, how much the Ravens dismantled this year, or like how much they lost?
A little bit, but they still
a little bit, a lot.
I have Cleveland above Baltimore.
Yes, and I have Cleveland above Indy too. I'm sorry, but I think the results speak for themselves.
It's like 2% homerish there, like 2%.
That's fine. I'm homerish.
Indy isn't better
got
than
the better
Tennessee
record at the end of the year this year.
Said legitimately, I don't think they're better than Tennessee at all. I think
same record last year.
I disagree with that one.
Same record last year, and honestly, you could make the case that the Bills should have lost to them, whereas the Tennessee just outright lost to Baltimore. outright. I think that game
with home field advantage.
Yeah.
No matter where the Colts stack up, I mean, you have to say right now going into the season, though, you have Kansas City and probably Buffalo as a top tier organization.
I agree.
It's them two, and then there's some space between everybody else.
Yes.
The Colts, Brown, Ravens, those kind of guys, I think are all jumbled up in there. You know, it'll be interesting to see. And if Carson Wentz is the factor that the Colts slide, that'll be interesting.
But I had Aziz.
Really
Aziz Ojulari is the pick in this one. They need pass rush help. So I'm tagging along with Drew here.
I like that.
Floor is yours to bash, dissect your ex-quarterback, miss him, love him, whatever you want to do.
Colts take quarterback. No, I'm kidding. Listen, I think Wentz is going to do fine there because it's just he doesn't have to do anything. He had to carry everything in Philly, and just couldn't. He wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough anymore. So I think he'll be fine in Indy. I think it'll be a very similar situation to what Rivers did, except Wentz can make a little more of those, little better throws, more throws. He can make more plays. So I think Indy will be fine. I mean, exactly. But I'm saying he won't have to do half the stuff that he was asked to do in Philly. So the way their offense is designed, I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor, carrying the load there. I think they're a much more run-oriented offense, whereas Doug Peterson would not run the ball to save his fucking life last year. And I think they'll be ahead in more games, so Wentz won't have to do as much. I think, you saw their weakness in that Buffalo game. As Drew pointed out, was they couldn't stop Buffalo. They couldn't get to the passer, and I think pass rush is absolutely their main concern here. And I have them taking Gregory Rousseau, a raw, talented guy from Miami. I mean, he absolutely lit it up 2 years ago as a freshman, sat out last year, and he's one of my favorite edge rushers in this draft. So I think they get a steal with Rousseau here with 21.
But do you think Wentz's ego can put him into a game manager? Because that was his thing in Philly, that he just didn't want to. He wasn't on the same wage with Peterson. They weren't talking for months. His ego had him thinking he still was a half a season MVP candidate. I mean, do you think he could go to Indy and run that game management offense like you're predicting?
Yeah, I do. I think he has trust in Frank Reich.
I think he grows up a little bit, so we'll see.
Hey, listen, the dude's got to be humble, man. Yeah, the way he left here, it's left a sour taste in a lot of Philly fans' mouths because you wanted out. You basically asked to be out and asked to be traded when shit got.
You're talking about a fan base that eats horse shit after they win the Super Bowl, so they had this sour taste.
That was one guy. That was one guy.
No, one guy on camera.
They threw batteries and snowballs at Santa Claus.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
they did. It's on film.
It's got to be the worst fan base.
Brian's
snowballs and batteries at Santa Claus. Like, come on, man.
Hey, man, no one likes us. We don't care.
That's fine. I went with Bateman in this pick, and the only reason I took Bateman is because I think T.Y.'s time is very limited. It took him a while to bring him back. I thought he would be signed right away. He's lost a step. It took him a little bit of time to get on the same page with Phillip Rivers. Everybody else was eating, and T.Y. wasn't until about midseason. And Bateman, like I said, I think he can be the Justin Jefferson of this draft. I just think the value is too good there to get probably a top 10 wide receiver just because he played at Minnesota. He falls to you here. I just don't think – I get the defense. I thought defense right away, but the way my draft fell, Bateman being there, I just think it's too good to pass up.
I think it was Drew said Aziz Ojulari. I'm in the same boat there. They do need to get the pass rush there. And I think that again, it helps your defense so much. Secondary is going to look better as a result of that. I think if you can consistently get to the quarterback again, and if you can maintain leads, and if you believe Wentz will have to do a lot less offensively, maybe that means you're going to have leads you're going to have to maintain in the fourth quarter. I think pass rush is crucial. So, he was the best rusher I had, and I think that makes a lot of sense for them. That's the direction that I went. Their divisional counterpart is the Tennessee Titans, 11-5. They have needs as well. And they have a need at offensive line because they decided to take Isaiah Wilson 29th overall last year. They sent him away for a 7th-round pick because the kid didn't want to play anymore. They lost receiver Corey Davis to the Jets in free agency. They have made the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years. Brant, I'll start with you. So because they spent a 1 last year, I could argue the one they wasted on Wilson is worse than the one they wasted on Haskins. Like, that's how bad that ended up for the Tennessee Titans. The kids didn't want to play anymore, which makes absolutely no sense. Neither here nor there. But because they still have that need to fill an offensive line, do they kind of force that here?
No, I actually have them going Rashad Bateman. I had Bateman dropping down to Tennessee. I think they need to fill that Corey Davis to take that load off of A.J. Brown. I like A.J. Brown a lot. You look at that rookie that class that came in together of A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, and Terry McLaurin. I think Bateman here allows them to fill a little bit of that. And honestly, I would not go back-to-back trying to do another offensive tackle. In my mock, I do still have Tevin Jenkins available. So, that would be a possibility. But there's still some pretty good guys out on the free agent market as well that could I know Larry Warford's a guard, but he could still, be decent for a team. I think you'll see a lot of those guys go after the draft, trying to, pick a place a little bit more, those guys, the more journeymen. But for me, Bateman made sense.
What was interesting about the class that you mentioned back in 2019, the A.J. Browns, the DK Metcalfs, they were all second-round picks and later. There was nobody went in that first round.
For me personally, for this team, I switched so many picks on so many different mocks of the Titans. I had Morig, the safety. I had him pinned to the Tennessee. Then I changed it over to offensive tackle, was Jenkins. But for me, man, I think they're going to make the move. They have a need at corner, and they'll make the move with Caleb Farley. And I think they'll go with Farley here with the Titans. Like Brant said earlier, top 10, talent. We talked about it last night, raved about how he could be a late first-round pickup. Mike Vrabel loves his defense, and I think that he'll replace Malcolm Butler as a plus. And I got Caleb Farley going here, B.
That's what I have as well, Drew. I think losing.
That's because we're smart.
Yep. Same guy I got as well.
I think the talent right now, this is where his slide ends. I can see Eichenberg, who I still have on my list as a tackle. Jenkins or maybe Mayfield from Michigan, one of those tackles go here. But I have him taking Caleb Farley.
Can I just, is Moorhig for the college guys? Is Moorhig the best safety?
Oh, I do. Yeah. There's nobody close.
Why is he not getting?
Because you don't take safety. You don't take safeties that high.
Yeah,
George James went 13 overall.
Right, but you're going to overpay a safety position if you take him that high. I think
James
ultimately
is different too. You're looking. Okay. I'm looking at Moorhig more as that Malik Hooker, like purely a deep third, ball hawking safety.
Who's a free agent.
Right, and he's still 24 years old.
Right.
Derwin James is a lot more active. You could play him in the slot, you can play him in the box, you can play him deep. Like his range of what he can do is a lot different than what you're looking at of Moorhig.
Yeah, there's
the reason why I asked that, B, is because I really don't like everyone keeps been about this guy, but in a lot of mocks I don't see him in the first round. It's early second, probably late first. I've seen a couple of teams, a couple of mocks where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are taking him, but I don't see that happening. So it's like I don't like, why not the Jags? Why not one of these late first round teams take a snag at him? I don't see it. I got the Jags taking him.
I got the Vikings taking him at 14, but that's because they value safety position more than a lot of teams.
Okay.
It's the only reason I have him going there.
Yeah,
but I honestly would not be surprised if he falls into the mid-20s or out of the first round. It won't surprise me. Not that the talent's not there. It's just you don't want to overpay at that position. It's not as valuable for a lot of teams.
No, it's like the running back on offense. It's just you can find talent too. Like Washington found Cameron Curl in the last day of the third day of the draft, and he 3 interceptions, like 60 some tackles. Like he was a great pickup. But you can find those guys later. I mean, last year you had Jeremy Chin. You had, what's up?
I think that's a benefit though for you, Evan.
Sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
I think it's a benefit for your safety that you're talking about.
Yeah.
He benefited because of the front seven that you have.
Exactly.
I mean, that would make any rookie safety's job a lot easier.
Yeah, it's like you need a good offensive line to have a running back be worth anything.
And let's be realistic. Malik Hooker, there's a reason the Colts didn't bring him back. He's not bad. He just is not a difference maker enough for his type of safety play, which is similar to Moehrig, unfortunately for Moehrig, which I think is a reason why he's falling or going to fall most likely.
Gotcha. Thanks, guys.
If he went here, no one would question it.
No, yeah, 100%.
It would be a fine pick. I mean, especially if they value him over, with the questions about Farley. I mean, no one questioned it. But the other thing too is safety position this year. It's a little, it's kind of a little muddled after Moehrig. It's kind of muddled. So if they look at Richie Grant or even Andre Sisco or one of them guys that they value something different. I mean, Jamar James from the kid from Indiana. I mean, they're all flying around in second and third rounds, and if a team thinks still. I could get Farley here and get my safety later.
Yep.
So I had Farley going there.
I think the value's way more here with Farley than it would be Moehrig.
I had him going at 16, so I had them taking Greg Newsome here at 22. I think they need a corner absolutely, and I think he's the highest one that I have there. So that's kind of the way that I went. Hess, I think you're the only mock that I see here from the bunch that didn't have Moehrig drafted in the first round.
Just because I think, unless it's a really special safety, they shouldn't go in the first round. Simple as that.
Who do you have here?
Actually, I have Tennessee taking Kadarius Toney, wide receiver from Florida. I think they need with Corey Davis going. I think they need that bigger outside guy. He's at 5'11", 190, but compared to a lot of the other receivers that are going around that, like Elijah Moore and Rondale Moore, these smaller guys. So it makes sense to have that target that Tannehill can throw to. Not only did they lose Davis, they lost Jonnu Smith. So I mean,
no, I agree.
Pass catchers.
I think it's either a weapon offensively, wide receiver, tight end, or it's going to be corner. And if Farley's here, I just don't know if they can pass on.
Oh yeah, listen, if Farley's there, they should absolutely.
I don't think they can.
I think he's going way before this. So
I agree with you most likely. I had the Raiders doing Raider stuff and taking Greg Newsome instead of Farley, so that's why he's still available.
23 is the New York Jets. This is the pick they got from Seattle in the Jamal Adams trade. Mekhi Becton was the pick last year. They obviously had the number 2 pick. I assume that's going to be the quarterback. So because it's their second pick of the round, everyone always says that you can kind of take more risks with the second pick in the first round. I don't necessarily agree with that theory, but that's a theory that's out there. So the Jets are another team that you hear because of that, potentially a spot for the running back. I personally do not have a running back going here. I like Landon Dickerson out of Alabama. I think he's a guy who could go here and help their offensive line immediately. And I think if you're going to bring in another quarterback, which is this team does clockwork, and they all get screwed up, you better protect him. And I think they did a nice job in free agency getting him some talent around him on the outside. I think they can get a running back later if they want to. I don't think this is a spot right here. So I like Dickerson from Alabama to help the line immensely immediately.
I went with Kwity Paye here. I think they got their quarterback. What's New York but flashy? I mean, it's the truth. They try and take the flashy guy instead of the correct pick, which would probably be offensive line. 100% agree with you. I just think Kwity Paye, if he falls this far, a lot of people had him as a top 15 pick. Immense value, what he'll bring there. I think it markedly improves their defense. Even if you think he's not going to be a top 15 pick, he's a first rounder at worst. I think his talent level's there. It's just whether or not you get him to work the way you need him to do to play NFL defense.
Real quick for me personally, I went offensive line. I like Tevin Jenkins here for the Jets. Versatile, can play guard, can play tackle. I need to protect my B. I can protect Zach Wilson. And I think buffering and solidifying this line for the future years is going to help him. And I think Robert Slade will take care of this defense as much as he can. So I got Tevin Jenkins here.
I'm looking at how my draft board's falling, and I do have Tevin. I debated long and hard about this second pick as far as between Tevin Jenkins and Christian Barmore. I'm going with Christian Barmore because I think Saleh would like to try to build the San Francisco line in the mold. I mean, the Jets line in the San Francisco mold. You put him with Quinnen Williams, I think you might have an effective line throughout the for years to come. So I'm going with Barmore here with a slight edge over Jenkins.
Prep.
Mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Of course I am. Here we go. For me, I went
the thing you said all day.
Hey. Jack's gonna win that division, baby. Let's go. No, I went Morik here. That defensive backfield of the Jets is just atrocious. If Farley falls down this way, I would see them going cornerback. I mean, right now they're running with Bryce Hall and Bless Austin as their starting cornerbacks, and that's not comforting to anybody. It's probably one of the worst units I've seen. So I went safety here because I see Morig as a sure thing. And for the second pick, I want someone who's got talent and is going to be a for sure thing. Because with that second pick of Zach Wilson, you're taking a big-ass risk because I think he's going to bust. I don't see him being successful. And so he is my third or fourth best quarterback in this draft behind Fields. Lance is right on him, and Lance are like neck for neck right now. But the defensive backfield of the Jets is awful.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can make the case that any Jet quarterback draft is going to bust because that's what past performance tells you. And again, they have to break that cycle. And, we discussed at length, should they have kept Darnold and tried to build around him? I understand why they didn't. I probably would have, to be bluntly honest with you. And again, I think the biggest concern if you're a Jet fan is this is not a risk-free pick at 2 because he was a fast riser. I mean, again, we talked about how Lawrence kind of got dissected because he's been at that top level for so long. Kind of got maybe a touch of that, a sprinkle of that to Fields. Zach Wilson's just been rising and rising. That's the guy they're going to take. But
I just don't get how Fields has been, and I wasn't here last night. I didn't get a chance to talk about these quarterbacks, so I'm going to hit it real quick. I don't get how Fields has been dinged for, having all these off-field issues. When you look at Mac Jones and his DUIs, you've got, Zach Wilson is I would say a more cocky Baker Mayfield, which is pretty hard to do.
Johnny Manziel without the drug use, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll call him the Mormon Manziel, right?
I like it. I like it. You should coin that
we should
phrase.
probably make a T-shirt that says that.
Yeah.
And
sell it on draft night. Let's get it done.
God, I don't get the rise. Like, he suffered labrum tears in both hands. He broke his thumb on a hand. Like, he's got, both shoulders have had issues, and he's not a big guy. I don't get the rise. For me, Fields is the second.
And he played at BYU. Let's be realistic. Who did they play? And
how
did he play?
Steve Young played at BYU, so I mean,
you're talking. Yeah, but you're talking BYU, Steve Young era, which is
of
a
the
totally
80s.
Different BYU than now.
Hey, BYU has had more successful quarterbacks in the NFL than Ohio State has.
I mean, that's not an argument. You'll never have that argument there. That's a true fact.
Steve Young, Ty Detmer.
I mean, all you got to do is say Steve Young. I mean, he's top 5, arguably top 10 at least, whatever list you listen to. I mean, you can't argue with that. But Zach Wilson is not Steve Young.
When you're looking at Zach Wilson, you're talking about how he's a fast riser and stuff like that. Sort of, kind of. I mean, he was on a lot of people's radar beforehand. He just had success this season more because he was healthy and he put everything together. But I think NFL teams now, I mean, when you talk about fast riser, look at the success of Joe Burrow. I mean, he went from backup Ohio State can't make the team to starter LSU to number 1 overall pick within a year's time span. So I don't think NFL teams are scared off about these fast risers. I mean, there's no more Achilles Smith fears.
Yeah, it's traits. It's all about traits. But when you're looking at durability concerns, for me, Wilson is some of the biggest durability concerns in the quarterback class.
Mostly all quarterbacks get hurt and miss time, it seems, nowadays, except Tom Brady, who is you know, he's got scientists in a lab working on him.
Sold his soul to the devil.
It's the
got a great
avocado
return.
ice cream.
He's Illuminati. Guys pull up so they don't hit him because they take out their family or something. You know.
Listen, I think Brady won. I think Brady won that trade if he gave up his soul for the way his life.
I mean, yeah,
For 6 Super Bowls, the entire city of Philadelphia would.
7.
If there's any, 7. Well, 7. I'm sorry.
Seven and counting.
6 is
I
great
lose
too.
count after 5 hands.
Right.
I only have, understand.
Pick 24 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They also had no first-round pick last year. They're part of the Minka Fitzpatrick trade. They've used 7 consecutive number 1 picks on their defense. They lost Bud Dupree and James Conner in free agency. And the last time we saw this team take the field, they got their dicks kicked in by the Cleveland Browns. And I just want to just give Alex that flex spot right there because that was a hell of a game that started out bad and ended up worse for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what's interesting to me about this team, look, we're obviously here in the bottom of the 9th for Ben's career, right? I mean, this is not going to last forever. This could be his last year. You can make the case maybe last year should have been his last year, but they're going to go forward with Ben Roethlisberger. So I asked a similar question about, Matt Ryan in Atlanta and Drew Lock in Denver earlier. Drew, I'll start with you here. A bit of a twist on that. Is this a help Ben pick or is this a world post Ben pick? Like, are they looking to try to maximize their chances to win next year? Or is what I was so angry at the Green Bay Packers for, which was thinking post Rodgers, the exact right move for the Steelers, given the fact that Ben's a lot closer to the end?
No, there's no quarterback they're taking here at this pick at 24.
No. I just mean, like, do you try to, help him immediately, like help your offense with a guy like a Najee Harris? This is like a very popular running back spot. Or do you wait on that and go with some other needs that you have?
So personally, for me, I'm not going running back. I would never go running back first round for me, unless this guy's a 5-star. I think he's gonna be a future Hall of Famer, but that's even harder to predict. For me, I went and replaced. Probably arguably the most important position in the offensive line, which is center. Pouncey retired. I'm going with Creed Humphrey. A lot of people talk about him being the best center in this draft. I think that he'll pay dividends for the Steelers. There's already a connection there with where he played, and I think that's a need that the Steelers need. And it was evident. Last year that this offensive line wasn't working. It needs to be fixed. The running game wasn't working either. I know that running back is very important because they lost Connor. But I can't go running back at all at this point in this draft. So I went with Creed Humphrey. It might be a reach for some people, but I feel like hitting a center when they need it the most is probably the best choice for them. So I went with Creed Humphrey. I know Alex is probably gonna rake me on it, but whatever.
No, I'm not gonna listen. Offensive line's a great pick here. I don't think you made a bad pick. I just think taking a center at this pick is a bad pick. Like you can get Creed in the second round without a doubt. I think he's not on anybody's radar in the first round, even in the early second. So I think you can get him with their second pick. They're picking the second round. I went defense because you think about Steelers steel curtain. It's all about defense, right? Left tackle is probably the best pick here. I just don't know if the Steelers are going to invest in a left tackle. They weren't willing to bring back their stud left tackle, who I get it. He's still not signed, and he should be signed. But so I went with Jason Owe. I always say his name.
Away from Penn State.
Yeah, away. There's the Pennsylvania connection there. He's a good kid. A good player, right? I think he fits their defense, what he's going to do for them at end. And it's a big need for them losing 2 of their studs on defense. You got to – if you can't throw the ball as much as they're going to not be able to, I think, with Ben's drop-off, you got to go after the other quarterback, right? So you got to get some pressure there.
Well, to Drew's point, Pouncey was the 18th overall pick when they took him. So, like, there is precedent where they've taken a center in the first round. And even a couple of years ago, Frank Ragnow and Billy Price went back-to-back, Detroit and Cincinnati at 19 and 20 and 21. So there is precedent for taking a center this high. I mean,
Travis Frederick.
Yeah, right. Well,
even then it was considered a reach, though. But
that was considered, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're
great reach, though.
Turned out great.
Well, if you're all thinking, and Drew, I was kind of on my pick right now. I was debating on 2 players. One of which I mentioned before was Tevin Jenkins. The other one, which was you are, but I'm thinking of Landon Dickinson because I think he is a better player than Creed Humphreys. Top to bottom, lights out in every category, checks the box except his injury history. But I did go with Tevin Jenkins because I think he replaces Villanueva, who they missed, and there is going to be a value in a Creed Humphrey or the kid, Quentin Wirtz from Southwest Missouri State or wherever the hell he's from. That's been getting some even looks in the second round as well. So I think if they want to address those two needs immediately, I have Jenkins left, and Tevin Jenkins would be the pick here, and then address the center position to replace Pouncey.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
No. Tevin Jenkins for me makes sense because he can play on the left and right side. So if they decide to bring back Villanueva and move him to the left or put him on the right, he can play both sides. I mean, Jenkins has a nasty streak to him. He's a mauler, and he plays the game angry. It makes sense bringing him in. Like you said, Landon Dickinson makes another. He makes sense too. In this spot, but for me, I went Jenkins.
Yeah, running back, I don't think is a smart pick here. I know some mocks have been maybe Pittsburgh taking him, but I think if you're still going to hang on the Ben for the next year or two, he's got to be upright, and I think it's too early for any of the centers in this draft. I have Tevin Jenkins off the board at this point, so my pick here would be Jalen Mayfield, another offensive tackle. So I think offense. And listen, and the Steelers just always draft defense. They just always seem to draft defense.
Yeah.
But I think the pick here has to be offensive line. Got to keep Ben upright if you're going to make one last run at this thing with him at the helm.
It reminds me so much of, I vehemently disagree with Saquon going second overall to the Giants. I thought it was a terrible pick for the spot, but what I understood was that they were just trying to extend Eli's career the quickest way that they could. And that was by getting him a running back who comes in and plays right away. There's no the third year receiver thing, which may or not really, it's not really the same way it used to be, but they play right away. Because of that, it's not a pick that I would make, but I think they're going Najee Harris because he goes right away, helps Ben immediately. And if you want to take a couple more shots with him, that's a very quick way to do it. So while I vehemently disagree with taking running backs in the first round, I think that they do that. And I think Najee Harris is the best running back in the draft. So I think that's where they go at 24. I think it's an extremely short-sighted move because I think 2 years from now, you're in the same spot the Giants were in with Danny Jones in that now you have this running back that you put a high pick into, obviously not as high as Saquon was, but now you're hitting the reset button at quarterback, and this guy's career is a limited time frame the way running backs normally are. But again, that's the nature of this Hail Mary, let me try to help our offense as best we can. And they didn't really run the ball effectively well last year.
Got to run, boys.
They do need some.
Well, they did struggle in the running back last year, Brian, in the running game. And I think that was just more just because of it wasn't just the talent with Connor being banged up and everything like that. I think their run blocking struggled. I don't think that Najee Harris. I mean, although he's a good back, whether it's Harris, Williams, or ADN, I don't think that I don't see the Steelers being that organization that takes a running back here to try to solve all their woes. Especially when they're trying to keep Ben upright. The separation between if you have the Harris or whoever as your top running back to the second group or the second round, I mean, you might still be able to get somebody like that in the second round. I think he's going over falling over running back.
I agree with Tony completely. Also, too, you have a guy like Trey Sermon who's projected in the 5th round, who's going to be a starter in this league. He's going to take somebody's job. I can promise you that. I mean, the guy was successful at Oklahoma, came over to Ohio State as a graduate transfer, and absolutely ran wild all over Clemson's vaunted defense. I mean, the guy's a stud. So I wouldn't take a running back in the first 2 rounds. No offense to running backs. I just think the position it's not needed as much as it used to be.
Take a note from Jaguars, James Robinson. I mean,
100%.
Running back in the first round, I don't think a successful NFL team does that anymore.
I honestly hope the Browns take Trey Sermon in the 5th round. I'm not lying to you because I don't want to pay Nick Chubb what he's gonna demand. That's legit. I understand he's probably a top 5 running back in the league, but I just don't think you can win valuing that position with that type of money. I think Cowboys have been a perfect example. There's a million organizations that prove that. The Rams, it just doesn't work out in your favor ever to do that. So,
no, look, it's not what I would do. I
Right.
just see them doing it for that reason. It's like, here we
trying to extend Ben. I get what you're
exactly
saying.
right, and that's the quickest way to do it. That's it very much Giants-esque, and I hated that too. For what that was worth. Tony, you mentioned the Jaguars. They're up again at 25. Again, 2 picks last year, both on the defensive side of the ball. This is the pick the Rams would have had. This is a Jalen Ramsey acquisition. So I'll start with you here. Is this give him a weapon? Is this a help the defense around Trevor? Just your thoughts on where Jacksonville goes, because you know what they're doing at 1.
I think they go back-to-back Trevors, to be honest with you. I have Trevor Mooring here. As far as the pick, I believe that's who I picked in my draft. Trevon Mooring, not Trevor Mooring, Trevon Mooring. But Trevor and Trevon, I mean, they're long lost brothers. I think they got the captain there. They got the face of their offense. They'll get the face of their defense. I like Chenault and DJ Chark and their weapons already. I think they got Marvin Williams Jr. in the offseason. So wide receiver, James Robinson, they're good, okay on offense. And somebody like here, but I think if they get Mooring in here, I think this gives them the captain of their defense for the next few years, and you're able to see them move on and take the position of trying to build a team and some sort of identity on both sides of the ball. So this pick for me is going to be Trevon Mooring to pair with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, for me too, man. I already, like I said, it's good to pick for me for the Jag draft, and I think he's going to be the face of the defense, like Tony said. I think he's a great pick and that could install this defense to get this defense going and help. And it will be a good choice by Alex and Tony's favorite kick coach, Urban Meyer. So
Urban Liar.
So I like Mooring here.
Yeah, I went with the biggest, I think, boom or bust first round pick that should be, that would have been if he didn't take last year off due to COVID. I went with Walker Little out of Stanford. The guy was an absolute monster in 2018. He pretty much was guaranteed to be a first round pick this year. If he had played, he tore his ACL. He missed 2019. Then he sat out because of COVID. He opted out. This guy could end up being the best tackle in the draft, and you can get him at 25. I just, the gambler in Urban Meyer, I think, is too much here. He's going to look at a guy from Stanford. He's going to be like, man, he knows the guy's smart, obviously, right? Like he fits all the boxes physically. As long as his medicals are okay, which is the biggest question mark because we're in the COVID era where they're not doing, combines, they're not doing in-person physicals. It's all Zoom meetings and trusting personal doctors. I think you're going to, I think this is a good spot where you can take that chance with your second pick in the first round. And if this guy hits, I mean, he could be the best tackle in the draft. And you got him at 25. I mean, that's insane,
Yeah, it's a little early for me on Walker Little. I like the guy. I think he's got a lot of talent. But after taking almost 2 years off, I don't see him being a first-round pick. Yeah, I mean, it's just super risky. I went defense. I went with Christian Barmore to give him a big present up front. Obviously, I love my Alabama D lineman, so I'm obviously biased with this pick because, half my defensive line on my team is Alabama D lineman. But I think Barmore can come in, provide some, push from interior. I know they got K'Lavon Chase on last year. Hopefully, Barmore can do a little bit. But also, like, if I wasn't going defense and I was going to go offense, I would definitely consider Kadarius Toney here. I like him as that short slot guy, make people miss. And, I don't think you can go wrong with giving Trevor Lawrence more targets.
This is where I had Murray going. their offense was in games last year.
Sports box guys.
Yeah, no, their offense was in games last year. I mean, listen, they went 1-15. Like it's I get it, but it wasn't that they were in games they were totally getting blown out either. But they have weapons offensively. They've added weapons offensively in free agency. I just think he fills a need. It's a spot of the draft where like I feel comfortable with a safety. So I like the fit. I clearly look, if you walk away from a draft with the two best players at their position, it's kind of in first round. It's probably hard to be upset about that, right? So I think it's a very good spot for them to do that. And I think that they have some other, bullets in the chamber. Again, they're going to be picking again at the top of the second round in what 7 picks or 8 picks, whatever. So, they're going to be able to do something there as well. I think Moehrig wouldn't be there. So I like him here for Jacksonville, which leads us to the Cleveland Browns. Look at that smirk.
Finally.
Look at that smirk Alex has.
Get this shit over with.
They went Jedrick Wills last year with 10th overall pick. He was the first Browns one used on an offensive lineman since 2007. This is the lowest first pick in the first round the Browns have had since 1980. What I mean by that is when they go to the podium for the first time in the first round, if they have one, this is the lowest they've picked since 1980. So you can tell it's been it's a good year to be a Browns fan. Drew, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to be the first person to make the pick.
Oh, that's fine. I will go. You mean make Alex laugh?
Yeah.
Put Alex laugh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I will go to you here. It feels like this is a pick on defense to me.
No.
No.
I want to wait till he's unmuted so he can hear me, so he can stop talking to his girl. You ready? Quarterback Kyle Trask is going to be the pick for the good. No,
the Eagles are picking him because it's the rock paper scissors. Trask beat the coach a couple times, and all of a sudden he's the pick.
All right. On a serious note, I've been listening to Kyle bitch. I'm sorry. Alex bitch and complained the last 3 weeks when we did our mock game-winning drive. He's been preaching for a linebacker. So I'm going to give him a linebacker. I got Zaven Collins going here for the Browns. I like this kid's motor. I really think he's a little bit undervalued in scouting, and I think the Browns will hit a home run here if they go with Zaven Collins. Fix that, helps that linebacking core. That the defensive line is already looking really good with the addition of, if he is healthy, Clowney on the opposite side of Myles Garrett. This defense could be special, B. And I really like Zaven Collins here. And I think that would be the smart pick if they go linebacker at 26.
I don't think adding Clowney anyway precludes him from going with a pass rusher here, though. I don't. I'm not saying they will, but if they wanted to, it's not as if you can't because you brought in Clowney. I also have Zaven Collins here, but I have Pay still on the board. Like I don't think that would like blow anybody. Like I have Greg Rousseau still on the board. Like if they went that direction, like no one's going to be like, oh wow, what the hell are you doing? But like I said, like this is long-term type stuff. Clowney might be there for a year. So it isn't anything that is like they can't do it. Austin says Greg Rousseau. Brant,
Brian, you see our mock drafts that we submitted, so you know that I took Zaven Collins, you know that Drew took Zaven Collins, and yourself took Zaven Collins. So you might want to just mention that next time that
I took Zaven Collins too. So I think it's literally a clean sweep for Zaven Collins.
You guys do that. That's
well, maybe it depends on what the Browns fan has.
I definitely took Zaven Collins. But this is the reason why I took him. Right, the kid played both sides of the ball. He played quarterback in high school, and he was a standout linebacker, right?
He can blitz.
He can blitz. Besides the intelligence factor and knowing how to read offenses from being the quarterback, right? His speed is phenomenal. He makes hits on time, right? Like, I just like everything about this kid. I didn't know about him because he played at Tulsa. But once I really got into the draft and I realized
gamble more.
And I realized that Nick Bolton, who I really wanted, right, was going to fall into the second round, and we got a chance to maybe pick him up in the second round too, right? This kid is not going to make it out of the first round. He's too good. I'm praying that he's there. I really am. I understand that linebacker position is undervalued, just like safety, just like running back in this aspect, right? But this guy, I think, is a top 15 guy. He just plays the wrong position, unfortunately for him, to get drafted in a top 15 position.
All right, can we move
And
on?
he played at Tulsa. No, we cannot move on. I
dude
listened
is-
to your diatribe
and
about the
he's-
crappy Chargers.
And I love his size. The dude is 6'4", 260, and
Uh-huh.
ran a 4.6 40. Like he's not running as fast as the other guys, but he is a big dude, and it's not fat. Like he is a
He's
chiseled
actually-
guy.
He's actually 6'5", 260. Yeah, the guy's a monster.
Yeah, he's huge, and he
Alex
can,
looked at his
cover
bed
too.
last night and measured him.
No, I just went on
He started with the
the draft. I just went on the NFL.com and looked up his.
You gotta get
Yeah,
the
no,
numbers, man.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
we
good
all
draft
pick
season. You
David
can't trust
Collins. I mean, and that size is one of the benefits because they do need an edge rusher just in case the free agent signing of Mr. Clowney doesn't pan out, and you can do a little bit of everything. And I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean the
Beautiful.
edge rusher thing
Who wrote
frustrated
that, Ron?
me.
That was I don't know.
The edge rusher thing frustrated me because we picked up McKinley, who, if you look, even though he underperformed, oh jeez, I know exactly who it was. Anyways, if you look at McKinley, who we also signed, who was an under the radar signing,
Yeah,
he has a better draft
I figured it
grade.
out, too. Yeah.
He has a better draft grade than a lot of these guys that you want to take, Rousseau and all these other guys in this position. So my thing is McKinley just played in a terrible place. Give him a shot playing on the opposite side of Myles Garrett. And the thought is Clowney's going to be more of a rotational guy. McKinley's going to get some more play too. So that's good. We don't have to rely on Clowney being great. If Clowney gives me 5 sacks this year, I'll be ecstatic. That's what I'm expecting out of him. McKinley can give me 3 or 4. That gives me hope that when he plays full time the next year when Clowney goes out of the city, that we're good. We're solved on the end position. All right, I'm done.
it's impressive. We all picked Zaven Collins specifically, though. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
That's good stuff there. Game-winning drive says they need to get rid of OBJ.
Drew, can you shut up, man? Like, really? We already talked about the OBJ thing. I wanted him gone. I wanted Baker gone, and I wanted Deshaun Watson.
All right, let's move on.
How happy I am now that it didn't happen with all this drama going
Pick 27. Pick 27.
Pick 27 is the Baltimore Ravens. It's their first of 2 picks.
Oh,
Last
God.
year, they took linebacker Patrick Queen, 28th overall, and they'll pick him again at 31. 5 of their last 7 ones have been used on the offensive side of the ball, which you might not really think that the way Baltimore is known, for their defense, but they have. They've gone offense in a big way. They did lose edge rushers Matt Judon, Yannick Ngakoue in free agency. So, Brant, it's their first of 2 picks. Again, they pick again shortly thereafter. Can they give Lamar Jackson a target? Because whenever I bring it up to Alex, for example, Alex always tells me, well, who the hell is he throwing the ball to? Right. And I can see that. My criticism of him is that, he needs to become a better thrower because then the run becomes lethal because they don't really expect it. Because now you have to actually account for the fact that somebody downfield might catch a football. So from your vantage point, they got 2 picks here, one of which we'll talk about at 31. They got to, fill the need that they created by trading 31 or trading for 31. Where are you here on Baltimore?
For me personally, I don't like taking wide receivers in the first round just because I feel like you can always find, like we've talked about it multiple times tonight, you can always find those really good guys in the second or third round. So here, and
But Baltimore can't find them in the first round.
Yeah, really.
You can't. It's hard. Like the Redskins 1 year drafted was it Josh Dotson. The next pick, Minnesota got Laquan Treadwell. Yeah, like both those guys busted out.
You know how many times I drafted Josh Dotson in fantasy waiting for him to blow up?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it hurts. It still hurts a little
He
bit.
wasn't good in college, though.
But it's potential, right? No, here I actually have them filling what I see as their biggest need, and that's pass rusher. Losing Judon and Ngakoue absolutely hurts, and that defense they were pretty good last year. I wouldn't say they were the best, but they have some good guys. I have them going with Jason Owe, but wide receiver, I like Terrence Marshall. I think Austin mentioned him as being someone that's possibly a good. I like his size, but you've already got Willis Snead. Is Terrence Marshall going to do something that Willie Snead's not going to do?
Absolutely, yes, he will. Catch the ball, be a bigger target. I mean, yeah, he's way better than Willie Snead.
I mean,
Yeah, that's who I have going here is Terrence Marshall. The only
I just-
reason he's not a top wide receiver is because he played with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. The kid is a stud. I mean, if you watch his tape, I mean, he's a no-brainer here. If you're Ravens, even if you trade for Julio, you still take Terrence here because Julio's maybe going to play for 2 years, max. I think.
Who did Brand pick?
I went edge rusher with Jason Owe with this pick.
Oh, okay, thank you.
See, when you mentioned Terrence Marshall, is good because right now that's who I was debating on between Terrence Marshall, but I actually went with Kadarius Toney because I'm done with the Hollywood Brown experiment.
Sure. Yep,
I think
like
Toney could do a little bit more explosiveness, help that out. Hopefully, Mark Andrews gets his shit together, stops with the drops, and can perform a little bit better than he did last year. So I'm going with Kadarius Toney with a slight edge of Terrence Marshall. Now, if Hollywood Brown actually was able to perform like he's supposed to, I think Marshall would be a nice compliment to him. But I right now I'm looking to replace their entire receiving core. I think Kadarius Toney has the ability to be the biggest weapon.
Yeah. You get no argue. They just need to. They have to take a wide receiver here.
And another reason why I think that they go wide receiver, even though one of their huge needs is defensive end, is I think the defensive ends are falling a little bit more and they'll be available their next pick. I think they get the wide receiver they want, whether it's Marshall or Toney here, or maybe it's a Rondell Moore. And then with the following pick, that's when they go DN with a Barsham or one of the Miami guys who are a left or a what's the other guy I was thinking of? I forget who I'm thinking of, but one of the other defensive ends.
So for me, I was debating between Terrence Marshall Jr. and Joseph Asai for the picks. I know I sent Joseph Asai to you, Brian, but I am learning more towards Terrence Marshall Jr. as a pick here for the Ravens. They do need a passing catching option for Lamar. Lamar's been crying for it for about 2 or 3 seasons now. He needs that ability. I don't know what's going on with Hollywood Brown. I'm not gonna be beating a dead horse here. I went with Terrence Marshall Jr. for the Ravens. I'm gonna go with him.
Now, was Toney on your board? Who was on your board that you took Marshall over?
What was that? I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
Tony is available. Tony has not been
Toney.
taken.
So you went Marshall over Tony?
Yeah, I went Marshall over Tony.
I need your updated mock stat. This to me was a calculated risk. It was a calculated risk because, again, I pick again in 4 picks, and I'm making a determination that the 3 teams that pick between this pick and my next pick are not going to go wide receiver. So for that reason, I have Kwity Paye on my board, and I feel as though if I leave him there, he will not be there for me at 31. Probably should have gone before this, but again, just the way my draft fell. So I think Kwity Paye at 27, especially being talked about at 12.
Bro, I think your reason, real quick, I think your reasoning is insane. I mean, because you're looking at the Saints who need a compliment from Michael Thomas, and then you have Green Bay, who everybody begs every year, and they're really doing research on their wide receivers. So I think the Saints and Packers are huge threats to take wide receivers this year.
Went different directions for them both.
Yeah, I think I have the Saints going defense for sure.
Me too.
And I mean, same with the Pack. I mean, they got steamrolled by Brady. They got to do something to shore up that defense. So I had them both go defense. I mean, mine very similar to how Atard was thinking is I don't see them going wide receiver.
Problem.
If Elijah Moore is available, there is 0 chance he gets past Sean Payton. I don't care what their needs are. Sean Payton's an offensive guy. You're crazy if you think a guy like Elijah Moore gets past Sean Payton.
Sean Payton is an offensive guy. We're not that far removed from them trading up to go get Marcus Davenport.
There's no chance. Elijah Moore is a Saints pick. I would, if he's available, I'll put money on that.
Why don't we get on the Saints?
It's the next pick. Sorry.
Whether he's their pick or not, I think to eliminate both of those teams from even suggesting that they pick a wide receiver is a mistake. So that's why I figured that's why, I think you go on the wide receiver first and you get your cream of the crop, who you like, who you fit. If not, you might be resolved to take whoever's left if one of those teams do pick them.
Well, it is the Saints at 28. Last year they took center Cesar Ruiz, 24th overall. The Drew Brees era is over. They have
Camden kid.
I'm sorry?
Camden kid, Cesar Ruiz.
That's right.
I respect any kid that comes from Canada, that's for sure.
Saints have no offensive first-round Pro Bowler since 2015. That was Andres Pete. It's the first pick of the post-Breeze era. Tony, you brought this up. Is it time to give Michael Thomas some help on the other side?
They're going to need help, but I don't have them picking here. I have them picking Aziz Owari for the defensive end from Georgia. I think that's a huge need as well, for them as well. Maybe I also have Elijah Moore going. I also have Tony Garn. I mean, I don't think that Terrence Marshall Jr. is the next is a good fit next to Slant Boy. So that's why I have them going with the defensive end and helping that immediately.
Slant Boy. Oh shit. For me, I got Elijah Moore. I'm gonna go with Elijah Moore here for the Saints. I'm with Alex here on this one. They need to get someone opposite of Michael Thomas, especially with old boy they got traded to or went to the Bills. I can't think of his name right now. The receiver that they got.
Oh, what the hell's a stupid name?
I can't think of his name right now.
Emmanuel
Sanders. Yeah. So they need offensive firepower. Who knows who's gonna be a quarterback? If it's gonna be Winston, if it's gonna be Hill, we have no idea. But they do need someone to throw to. So Michael Thomas can't do it all on his own. So I think that would be a good spot for him right here to get Elijah Moore.
I already said my pick. I don't need to go again.
And you're eating.
For me, I was looking at either linebacker or cornerback. I mean, this defense is just rough, right? I mean, it's rough every year. It doesn't really matter who they pick. I ended up going cornerback and going with Greg Newsome here. Yeah.
I have Asante Samuel Jr. here at 28, again, for the same reasons. Look, they're in a division where the passing offenses are the one's obviously really good at Tampa Bay, and one I think is on the upswing in Carolina. So you need to be able to stop somebody defensively. And I don't know. I know that Breeze hasn't been Breeze the last couple of years, but I think that the era of trying to just outscore teams if you're New Orleans died a long time ago. And I think that they need somebody opposite Lattimore and a good player like Samuel, I think would be a nice fit there. Plus it goes with my theory of Baltimore can wait on wide receivers. So I had them taking Samuel Jr. out of Florida State, again, opposite Lattimore to help that secondary. Which leads us to the Green Bay Packers. Last year, they took quarterback Jordan Love with the 26th overall pick. Love was the first one used on offense since 2011. Offensive tackle Derek Sherrod. The last first-round wide receiver that the Green Bay Packers selected was in 2002, and that was Javon Walker. A little bit in the Wayback Machine. So they're probably not taking a quarterback, but who knows? It's the Green Bay Packers. They made their replace Rodgers pick last year. So, Brant, can this be a help Rodgers pick now?
Absolutely. I know Quig mentioned wide receiver. Like if I'm looking for wide receiver here, I'm not looking outside. I'm looking purely slot. So I'd be looking at that Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney. I lean Toney just because I feel like he's going to fit that Randall Cobb-esque player, someone that can do multiple things, return kicks, return punts, be in the slot. I still can't believe they selected Jordan Love in the first round of last year. Oh, God. Jeez. But no, I think Aaron Rodgers has at least 2-3 more years, at least, of this level that he was. I mean, he turned it on. It's like he got angry with that pick and turned it up to a whole different level. So giving him someone similar to how Cobb was, I think would go a long way to helping them. I mean, yeah, they definitely need some help on defense, especially because they got steamrolled by Brady. But having a slot guy, Toney, to me, is the best slot guy in this draft. I like him a little bit more than Elijah Moore, and I think he would do a lot for the offense.
I mean, it's no lie. I mean, if you just ask Havermel, as far as the love for Zaire Alexander, but across the opposite side of him was pretty much a turnstile. I have Greg Newsome going here to shore up their secondary. He's one of the toughest in the league. I think he's good. He'd be a good fit. It's just one of them things where, the Aaron Rodgers fans who are screaming help are going to continue to scream, but it's a pick that'll help them out in the long run and hopefully win some games. And depending on how this Julio Jones rumor is, I mean, if they could select him, I mean, I think that would be the pick there.
For me, I'm just quick quick to my pick. It's Greg Newsome for me at corner for the Packers. They need someone opposite of Jair, and I feel like it's going to be
your whole mock has been changed the last couple of picks.
It has. Look, man, it's tough, dude.
This is fine.
It's tough.
Well, you think it's tough now, Drew. Wait till we start watching the draft and they start trading back forth.
I know.
And this is all. That's why I always like to troll people when somebody posts their mock. I'm like, this is wrong, and they're like, "What do you mean it's wrong?"
Well, of course it's wrong. It's guaranteed to be wrong.
Exactly.
That's why you always use smile emojis on mine. Okay, got it. Yeah, man. For me, man, it's definitely. I like Greg Newsome here. I like the corner spot. I have in my other mock, so I'm gonna go with Greg Newsome here, just as opposite him with Jair.
Alex,
I got Asante Samuel Jr. I'm thinking the same thing. I just have, like I said, the Raiders doing Raider things and taking Newsome way earlier than he should be. And the only reason I have him going corner is because both my wide receivers that I want, if I'm Green Bay, and Marshall and Elijah Moore are gone at this point.
So what's been instilled in my brain over the past 12 months from Ryan Havermehl is that the Green Bay Packers take best player available. And we've had these discussions about, well, yeah, I understand why you say that, but you're not going to take a guy that you don't need over a guy that you might. No, it's the best player available.
Jordan Love was not the best player available when he drafted.
Hey, that's what
I was about to say. He's not the BPA.
No. That's what he said. Should have been a top 10 pick last year. Just swore by that.
Well, and we know the Eagles won't take the best player available on their mock draft board either.
So, but let's assume that's what that's what Green Bay does. The best player available on my draft board, which happens to also fill a need, is Christian Barmore from Alabama. They need interior defensive line. So he's still there on my board. He's a guy I see dropping in this draft, and he's there at number 29, and perfect fit in Green Bay for a need that they have, and that's why that need outweighs the wide receiver need. And frankly, if you're a team that would take a 3 to 4 year future quarterback over a need at wide receiver, I have no reason to think that you won't do that again when a defensive tackle falls in your lap. So I have Barmore here, and I don't have him taking a wide receiver, and that's why.
Cool.
Fair.
Which is good, which continues to be good for Baltimore, which we'll get to in about 2 picks here. Next up at 30, the Buffalo Bills. No first-round pick last year. They used it on Stephon Diggs. I got to tell you, I think that worked out pretty damn well for both them and Minnesota.
Yeah.
Only one of their last 5 first-rounders has been used on offense. That was Josh Allen in 2018. They won their first division championship since 1995. Quickly, look, there's not a lot of obvious needs here. Pass rush could be improved. So could the running game, though. And again, I hate taking first-round running backs. I'm not saying that they necessarily will. But it's not as if they have massive needs to fill. It feels like if they want to make the case for a luxury pick, they can make that case. I think they go Jason Oweh from Penn State.
I got same position. The thing that really bothers me about when people talk about the Buffalo Bills in the running game, they don't have any interest running the ball. I mean, they do have adequate running backs in Singletary and Zach Moss. So, I mean, it's not like a talent issue. It's just a scheme issue. Their running back is Josh Allen. Their goal line back is Josh Allen, and that's how they run their offense. So I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff. So I have Jalen Phillips, defensive end from Miami, falling here. And, they had trouble getting to the quarterback a number of times in their losses last year. And I think if he's there, I think they run to the podium and or Zoom call in or whatever the hell they're doing this year and make the pick.
I got Edge Joseph Asai for me, another pass rusher for Buffalo. We saw evidence.
You already had Asai.
He moved. No. He's changed his whole mock draft as we've been going along. He had a
sign. I thought you said he had a sign.
I'm changing my mock. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. All right. Okay. I got to aside.
He's going to pick a size 7 picks, and eventually he'll get it.
I haven't picked this. Have I picked this sign before?
I have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's my pick. I don't feel like talking about it now.
Yeah, I went with Phillips as well. Quig. I for everything he mentioned, I think it helps them get to the quarterback better, which is something they desperately needed against the Chiefs and would have helped them quite a bit But, Patrick Mahomes is another beast. So even if you get to him, do you get him down? So, but I think the end is where they need to go.
See, for me, I had this being like a luxury pick for the Bills. I don't see them having any like super glaring needs where I was like, I've got to fill that here. I actually had Caleb Farley and his 2 back surgeries dropping all the way down to this position, scaring every team off, and Buffalo being willing to scoop him up. Looking at injuries with cornerbacks, you just never know. I mean, Bryce Hall out of Virginia last year tore his ACL and then dropped all the way to the 5th round. Like, what? And he was a first-round prospect before that.
Sidney Jones.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. So, I mean, I could easily see him sliding out of the 1st, into the 2nd, into the 3rd. But I like them to pick up a cornerback to go opposite Tre'Davious White. Austin still picked defensive end for the Redskins, so I'm zero stock in anything he's got to say.
But I understand what you're saying. I get Quigley's point too, but it, like you said, it just feels like because there's nothing like glaring.
Yeah.
That depending on it, defensive ends might not be there. Like that wouldn't surprise me if it's Etienne. Not saying
here's something I've just read, Bri. Here's something I just read. And it isn't a coincidence. 3 of Buffalo's 4 losses last season. So the 3 out of 4. 0 sacks or 1 sack. Yeah. I think that's a need.
It's a glaring need. Even though they were a top 5 defense, they were not top 5 in sacks or pressures. I mean, they need an edge, 100%.
Yeah, but they went edge last year, right, with AJ Epensa. So
is it a problem to go again?
I don't know, because you're looking at Jerry Hughes, Mario Addison, AJ Epensa. So I'm not seeing that as like
Hughes and Addison were on the wrong side of 30, though.
I mean, you're right, but I mean, who's the cornerback opposite of Tre'Davious White?
That's a sneaky need. I mean,
Levi Wallace
needs, but I mean, a good pass rush.
I just think there's 0 chance.
A good pass rush.
Wait a minute, I thought. Wait, the corner they have opposite of White, I thought is the old boy from your old team. The corner from the Panthers that went to Washington.
Josh Norman?
Yeah. Didn't he go to Buffalo last year?
I don't think.
Well,
yeah, hold on.
Part says
I might be wrong, but I thought he was.
It's Levi Wallace.
61st to 80 in cornerback. So, in addition to Josh Norman's unsigned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might remain that way.
Probably. I mean, he's lost a lot, but yeah. I mean, I don't have an issue with cornerback here, especially if a talent like Farley is right away. I think.
Yeah, I just don't think there's a chance and snowball's chance that he makes it that far. He could.
As we talked last night, ESPN put their combined mock of all their sports writers out, and they had Farley going 8, which I think is really insane. But I mean, that just shows where that shows you there's a mixed
with that injury history. I don't know how you take him at 8. I think that's a huge risk. But
it's like I said last night. Like there's going to be so many leaps of faith in this draft because there's guys you haven't seen play in so long.
Yeah.
Like it's not the regular draft, and I think that's why. Like I don't recall. Maybe you guys do. We haven't really seen like 2-3 weeks before the draft when these trades recently happened with the picks that far out.
No,
like
never.
it's because there's so much uncertainty that they'd almost rather just punt it into next year and give themselves something into what's going to be a better draft. Quickly, I think you said it yesterday. There's like 1,000 guys eligible next year, so it should be a deeper draft.
You're going to see 12 games. You're going to see a full combine. You're going to get full medical records, and there's going to be a bigger pool of talent to select for.
Absolutely.
So, it's if you're one of these, don't be surprised. And like I said earlier, don't be surprised if you're one of these teams on the back end of this draft, like a Green Bay or a Baltimore with an extra pick here. Somebody jumps up to grab a surprise quarterback or something like that, while these other guys are just trying to go for next year.
Yeah, I honestly, like, would it even kill some of these teams to trade their ones for one next year just straight? I don't think so. At some point, like it wouldn't like.
Yeah, I mean, just a straight trade like that without getting something this year is a hard pill to swallow,
right?
For a fan base and for a lot of stuff. I mean, you'd have to gain at least. A 4th or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I could see it like where you just you won't take that much to move back out.
Yeah, the Packers would be a good example of that. I mean, or even Buffalo, like we just said, they don't have a huge need perceived, but they might want to if they could get one more out of Hughes or Addison, if they feel a different pressure or they have a solution for the opposite of White, then maybe parlay it to next year.
Ravens back up at 31. This is the Kansas City Chiefs pick. They got that in the trade for Orlando Brown. This is where I haven't taken the wide receiver because, like I said, I didn't feel the teams between them would. And I have Kadarius Toney here out of Florida. And we'll see if finally, Lamar can have someone to throw the ball to that, has a name that's not, a city in California.
For me, I got Jalen Phillips here. He's still on my board.
Well, you don't, but all right.
Yeah.
That's what I say. You already picked Jalen.
Listen,
no, I have not.
Sure.
Joseph Asai.
I got Azeez Ojulari.
Yep.
Here's where I go offensive line, and I actually helped out them. They did get rid of Orlando Brown, so I'm thinking that they need to help it out. I got Liam Eckberg from Notre Dame. They got a haul from Brown. And deservedly so because he's a talent. He's an absolute stud. So, I think this is where they go Eichberg here, and they kind of get a cheaper piece who might be a little bit more content to play in Baltimore.
Yeah, I went Samuel Cosme, offensive tackle, to replace it. I think there's good wide receivers that they can pick up in the second round, third round. So I went offensive tackle with this one.
I see Cosme. Cosme's been all over the place in draft boards. Some have him projected as a guard too. It's either he's late first round or he's dropping in the third or fourth. I've seen a lot of different readings on him. It'd be interesting to see where he goes.
It would surprise. Again, I know the way I mocked it, but it would surprise me they didn't address offensive line at some point because again, that's a big hole they got to fill. And if you intend to have a running quarterback, one's going to be protected even when he's dropping back. You need to protect him. And again, I wasn't really in love with the tackles that were here, but who knows if they feel the need to go replace him that way. It wouldn't shock me at all. Last but certainly not least are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Took Tristan Wirfs last year, 13th overall. They won the Super Bowl. They have all 22 starters returning from last year. So whoever they're going to take is not going to start for them. So this could be literally anything.
This is Alex, only one person.
Right. From anybody's mock, I think yours was the one that has the best story. So I'll let you go first because Quigley's going to obliterate it as soon as you say it. But
listen.
I'm always a bad guy.
The Buccaneers, they don't need anything. There's no, you're talking about Buffalo Bills, no pressing need.
Yeah.
If anybody has no pressing need, it's the Super Bowl champs who bring in all 22 starters back. So I addressed Dave's concern when they signed Tom Brady, which was funny to me, but and Kyle Trask. This is probably the biggest project, but also has a lot of upside. And who better to learn from but the GOAT? If Tom Brady can't get you in line,
he doesn't teach people.
Tom Brady has,
you just pissed off the greatest quarterback of all time with your first round pick.
Tom Brady has just, prolonged and made careers for a bunch of quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Brissett,
and now he's taking
Castle.
Jimmy G.
Ryan
Mallett had a cup of coffee somewhere, right?
Yeah, Ryan Mallett got
Hoyer
a contract. Hoyer's been, he's probably still playing for all I know. He's a third string somewhere. So, I just think it makes the most sense to take Trask at this point for a team that doesn't really have a pressing need. I could see running back here, but I feel like your backfield's already pretty clogged up. And so you're bringing a guy in that, who are you going to cut? You're not going to cut any of your current running backs. Yeah. So I just don't know where you would go here that is going to have any kind of impact.
It's a good problem to have. I personally haven't taken Greg Rousseau out of Miami, and I say that because you can get him in. You can get him in the rotation. One of their guys, I forget which one it was, their contracts are coming up. So you can kind of get ahead of that a little bit. And that's the benefit you have from having everybody coming back. It's unprecedented. That's the Brady effect, right? They want to go play for Tom. They'll take less money to do it. You have a chance to go win again. Greg Rousseau was the highest pass rusher I had on my board. It helps them now, helps them in the future. That's, the way that I thought they'd go.
Tom likes his running backs. Tom likes his guys who can catch the ball. Leonard Fournette, we don't know what's going to happen to him after this year. Ronald Jones, we don't know what's going to happen after his rookie deal is done. I got to go running back. I went with Travis Etienne.
Etienne.
Yeah, whatever his last name is.
Etienne.
I'm so hungry. I'm ready to get this done.
But it's only like 7:40 out there. You're
you
yawning,
always-
looking like you
You're
struggling.
the worst
not
pronouncer of names ever.
So for me, last year the Bucks got Antoine Winfield Jr. I feel like bringing in Asante Samuel Jr. just sort of fits that storyline. It's not a big need, but I mean he's someone that can develop and then work across from Carlton Davis. So I end up going Asante Samuel Jr. here.
It's
taking
wild
off
to
his
me,
picks, Brant.
it's just wild to me, like how in a year they've gone from this like problem organization to like everything's great.
It's the Brady effect.
Because Brady brought in all his friends.
It's
I have Asante Samuel Jr. as well. I disagree because I do think their secondary is in need. I mean, they were helped out, especially in the Super Bowl, by a great pass rush. Vita Vea and Shaq Barrett and these guys are crazy, and their linebackers covered their ass off. So I mean, when you're looking at that, that a good pass rush makes your secondary even better. I think that they do have some question marks in the secondary. If you've seen them Super Bowl, there was a lot of holding, a lot of grabbing, everything like that. And I think there is a talent upgrade available there. Antoine Winfield, phenomenal. And the other guys made some plays here or there. But I think Asante Samuel Jr., would be interesting because I think Brady played with his dad. So I mean, when you put it up
That'd
like
be crazy.
that, yeah. And now he plays with a thing. I think, as a luxury pick, it's a luxury pick, but it's also a need. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they need anything on offense. I think the running game with Ronald Jones and
Fournette.
playoff Lenny, they're happy with what they do there. If you look at Brady, they never needed a stud running back. And I don't think they want to waste draft capital, especially a first rounder and one.
So that wraps up round one. Now, quickly, I know you've seen this video. I want to ask the other guys if they want you to play it or not. It's about 3 minutes long. It was Mike Galletta the year that they drafted Vita Vea.
I haven't seen it. So
you haven't seen it.
No.
I think you'll enjoy it. It's funny.
I've seen it. It's awesome.
I've cut it nicely. I think you'll definitely get a kick out of it. But for those who haven't seen it, this is Mike Galletta's trials and tribulations back during the year where he really wanted Minka Fitzpatrick and he just fell short.
The Bucs are staying here taking a defensive back. I'm telling you, they're not moving down. I'm telling you, it'd probably be smart for them to move down, but I just hope they get Fitzpatrick and not Derwin James. The only thing that could happen is that they move down and think they can get Fitzpatrick. Is that they can move down and get Fitzpatrick.
Bucks traded to the Bills.
Traded the pick.
Yeah.
But I want Fitzpatrick. I don't want James. I want Fitzpatrick. Jesus.
Edmonds.
Damn it!
And you have a live reaction from the Bucks fan.
Man, one pick away. You kidding me? How mad you were mad.
You kind of knew that was coming though.
Shit.
When they didn't get Rosen, they had to switch. They had to switch up their
They're
thing.
gonna get Derwin James. Damn it.
Dude, listen.
They're
There's
taking
somebody
the
with a
deep
parrot hat on. Is this is your fan base? I'm just letting you know. There's somebody with a goddamn parrot hat on.
So they traded back to 12 to take a lineman.
Oh God, don't say that, please.
It might be good just for like reaction purposes. This is Derwin James. Whoa!
Look at him!
Wow!
Oh my God!
Oh my God.
Wait, we already broke 6 chairs, so that might be another one.
God. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Yo, I'm fire! Yo, man, says fire the cannons. That's what Paul says.
Oh my God.
Fire the cannons.
Oh my God. I can't.
He's happy. At least Mike. At least he's happy. He's playing for him.
Oh my God. I'm gonna throw up.
He's kind of off camera right now.
Look,
He's really not happy. what it is, he's still the best D tackle in the draft. I mean, you can say, are you all right?
Good?
You okay? He's so mad.
Why are you mad?
They got the worst secondary in the league. They got 2 guys there sitting there. They weren't going to give his back. You're going to get Derwin James. Yeah. I'm going to start changing.
Let's see.
I'm going to have to change allegiance soon. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah, imagine if he changed allegiances walking into a Super Bowl.
That's great.
Well, that just shows you why Mike Galletta deserves no part in celebrating last year's Super Bowl. He didn't want Vita Vea, who was an absolute stud on the defensive line when he came back, and he didn't want Tom Brady. So he doesn't deserve to celebrate that Super Bowl.
And I think
he's a fraud. He's a fraud.
I think the second round pick they got for trading back was Ronald Jones.
I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
I don't like that
Yeah.
pick at all, but I mean, yeah.
Man, he was a little upset, huh?
He was mad. I mean, I have a nice basement.
Is that your
I just
basement,
broke something in my
Brian?
basement.
Is that your basement?
It is.
You can't tell with all the Raiders.
I
the
mean,
Rangers
I
come
mean,
over.
I don't know how many Rangers fans there are on the sports box, so I didn't
Well,
know
he
if it
didn't
was.
shoot a commercial.
Listen, hold on. Tony, since you so nicely brought it up. So we closed on our house the day of Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I was joking with my wife that buying a house was the second most important thing going on that day. I think every third thought in my mind is about the team. I can't turn it off. My Ranger Man Cave was a project that I've always wanted to do when I finally got a house. Most wives would not sign up for that. If you remember, why you like the teams that you do, it's probably some of your first emotional attachments that you make when you're a kid. I can't wait to share that with him. When we can enjoy it together, it'll be the greatest thing.
Oh my God!
Holy!
Oh my
Right.
God!
That's on TV. They still air it.
That's cool.
I mean, listen, that's a nice
Thank you.
man cave. I like the man
Thank God
cave,
they
not
don't
the.
air it in-
Go ahead, Tony.
Thank God they don't air it in South Jersey. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not a fan of the Rangers stuff, but I'm a fan of the man cave. It's a nice
Well,
man cave.
Like we
We
don't
used
have
to play poker in there a lot, but
we used to play cards. Yes.
Yeah, I saw the
Hard to
poker
pussy.
table. I'm like, man, I play some poker.
Yeah.
You know,
That's we've had 20-person games. We actually had we had the stagger tournament. It was like 40 guys, half one night, half the other. Top 10 advanced. It was good. It worked out.
Oh, that's dope. I like that.
One of these, once the stupid fucking
listen,
thing
once
goes
this
away.
stuff's over, man, I'm not that far. I'll come up for a
Take
week.
it,
Hey,
bro.
man, I'll fly out there.
I told Drew to take a flight, dude. AC ain't that
I will.
far. We can
Yeah,
we can show. Listen, we can show you
Listen, I
guys.
got
good
better house
food,
games than AC has.
Listen, I play some poker, man. I'm all
Yeah,
about
Chris
that.
Fallon quit, by the way. Officially, Brian, we officially put retired Chris Fallon from playing on Saturday nights.
Oh, really? Is he getting beat up?
He can't take it.
Yeah, it's about
You
right.
you dumping $1,000 or so a night, I mean,
You want to come back and play the $40 game at Brian Attar's house, right? That's what you want.
yeah, we don't do that. That's not the type of poker we play. I won
Yeah,
1,700. I won 1,700. Mike Lynn lost like 2K. Fallon lost like $1K. Fun times.
Well,
People
Brad
hate
stopped playing.
Ready to stop playing?
No,
I'd be the one getting. I'd be getting taken.
We actually play No Limit Omaha. So
Yeah, see, but that's just like you just
okay.
hate money at that point. Like I don't know anything else you can say. You just
or you love money.
you're speaking into the wheelhouse of me and Alex. That's our
Yeah,
that's our
man.
stuff right there.
so. Well, anyway, guys, listen. Thanks for watching the previews last night, tonight. They're available on demand. Watch them whenever you want to. Let us know how wrong we were on every single pick, because I guarantee that we probably are. Make some plans to join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Sportsbox is live, round 1, all the way through. Listen, it is one of the most fun shows of the year that we do. And
Two
we
and
have
ties
the
tomorrow,
pandemic.
gentlemen.
We used to do it live here in the basement, but we haven't let the pandemic get us out. Now we've got friends all over the country that are going to join us for this. It is going to be an absolute blast. And you just know that somebody, whose team name rhymes with Steagles is going to make some idiotic pick, maybe a 12, and everyone's just going to laugh their ass off. So you want to be here for that. It's a lot of fun. Join us tomorrow night. Join us Friday. We'll be doing rounds 2 and 3 as well.
Draft day suits are required.
What'd you say?
Draft day suits are required. So
No,
make sure-
I have one.
Oh, okay.
I haven't worn one in about 15 months, but that could try. We're good there. So, any parting thoughts from the panel?
See you tomorrow.
Is Joseph Osei still available?
Yeah.
He was drafted 3 times. I don't think he's
Yeah, I think the only two we got right are probably Wilson and Lawrence out of the whole draft. Watch Fields go one. Watch Fields go one, and everybody lose their minds, right?
Loses their absolute minds. So. On behalf of Brant, Quig, Drew, Alex, and Anthony, who joined us from his vacation, had to run. Thank you for watching Sports Box Preview Night 2. We will see you tomorrow night for the 2021 NFL Draft.
Thank you for watching the 2021 NFL Draft coverage on the Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at Sportsbox Show, Twitter at Sportsbox Show, Instagram at The Sportsbox Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thank you for joining us.